The Hyena's Curse. Chapter 1. Whispers under Kirinyaga. In the heart of Nairobi's glittering chaos, where sacred roots tangle beneath concrete, three teens stumble into a mystery older than the city itself. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are about to learn that some secrets don't stay buried and some trees whisper back. The air in Gigiri was thick with the scent of grilled nyama choma and the clink of champagne glasses. Kamau leaned against the rooftop railing of his adoptive father's mansion, the kind of place that screamed, "We have money," but whispered, "We have secrets." Below, the party pulsed. Politicians in tailored suits, influencers snapping selfies, and a live band playing taarab that nobody was listening to. He didn't belong here. Never had. The dreams made sure he knew that. They came every night now. A mountain cloaked in mist, a tree with roots that glowed like veins of fire, and a girl with eyes that burned. Kamau, the wind would sigh, in a voice that wasn't his mother's, but felt like it should be. He shook his head, trying to shove the images away. The city skyline glittered beyond the compound, Nairobi's neon heartbeat drowning out the stars. He was 16, stuck in a life that didn't fit, and the only thing grounding him was the cold metal of the railing under his palms. "Yo, rich kid, you gonna jump or just brood like a bad Nollywood flick?" Kamau spun around. A girl stood in the shadows, her silhouette sharp against the glow of the neighbour's security lights. She was his age, maybe, with a leather jacket too big for her frame and a smirk that said she'd already sized him up and found him wanting. Her braids were long and her boots were caked with mud, like she'd climbed over the estate's walls. "Who are you?" Kamau asked, his voice low, wary. The last thing he needed was some stranger crashing his father's gala. "None of your business," she shot back, stepping closer. Her eyes flicked over him, his pressed shirt, his too clean sneakers. "What? You live here? Figures. You've got that 'I'm miserable in a mansion' vibe." He bristled. "And you've got that 'I'm breaking into places I don't belong' vibe. What are you doing up here?" She laughed, sharp and fearless, and leaned against the railing beside him. "Scouting. Next door's got better booze and fewer politicians." She tilted her head, studying him. "You don't talk like a rich kid. What's your deal?" Kamau didn't answer. He didn't know how to. How do you explain you're adopted by a man who buys loyalty with cash? That you dream in a language you've never heard? That you feel like a ghost in your own life? Instead, he said, "You shouldn't be here. Security's tight." "Security's a joke," she scoffed. "I'm Kimi, by the way. You got a name? Or do you just stare at people like a lost puppy?" "Kamau," he muttered, already regretting it. "Kamau," she repeated like she was tasting it. "Sounds old, like ancestor old. You one of those kids who's got a whole clan chanting in your blood." He froze. She was joking. Had to be. But her words hit too close to the dreams. Before he could respond, a screech of tyres and a burst of laughter broke the moment. A scooter skidded into the driveway below, nearly clipping a waiter. The rider, a lanky kid with a faded Wakanda Forever t-shirt and a phone glued to his hand, hopped off, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. "Juma!" Kimi groaned, pinching the bridge of her nose. "You're late. And loud." "Late? Nah, I'm fashionably on time," Juma called up, waving his phone. "Yo, this party's lit. I'm live streaming, fam. 500 viewers already. Oh, wait, make that 501. He squinted at the rooftop. "Who's the dude? Your boyfriend?" "Shut up," Kimi snapped, but her cheeks flushed. Kamau felt his own face heat up and looked away. Juma bounded up the fire escape, all elbows and energy, his phone still recording. Man, this place is bougie. You see the cars out there? I bet one of those rims cost more than my mum's house. He paused, eyeing Kamau. You live here? Respect. I'm Juma, king of vibes, future TikTok legend. What's good? Kamau didn't know how to handle Juma's chaos. Not much. Cool. Yo, check this out. Juma shoved his phone in Kamau's face, the screen showing a live feed of the party. Comments scrolled fast. Who's the hot guy? Is that Senator Mwangi? Drop the location. But Juma wasn't looking at the screen. He was staring past the mansion, toward the construction site at the edge of the compound. Hold up, Juma said, zooming in. What's that? Kamau followed his gaze. Behind the chain-link fence, where bulldozers had torn up the earth for some new high-rise, stood a tree. Not just any tree, a Mugumo, its gnarled roots sprawling like ancient fingers. It wasn't supposed to be there. Kamau had walked that lot 100 times, and it was just dirt and machines. But now, the tree loomed, its leaves catching the moonlight in a way that made his skin prickle. Bruh, that tree's glowing, Juma whispered, his usual grin gone. He was right. Faint lines, like veins of light, pulsed along the trunk, carving patterns that looked almost deliberate. Kimi frowned. That's not normal. Trees don't do that. Kamau's heart thudded. The air felt heavier, like the world was holding its breath. He stepped closer to the railing, drawn to the tree despite himself. The dreams flashed in his mind. The burning roots, the whispering mountain. Kamau! A voice hummed, not from the party or the city, but from somewhere deep, old, alive. You hear that? He asked, barely a whisper. Hear what? Kimi said, but her voice was sharp, like she'd heard it too. Juma was already halfway down the fire escape. Come on, let's check it out. This is content gold. Juma, wait. Kimi started, but he was gone, his scooter abandoned. She cursed under her breath and grabbed Kamau's arm. You coming or what? Don't make me drag you. Chapter 2. Shadows in the Roots. The Mugumo tree hums with a secret older than Nairobi itself, and Kamau, Kimi, and Juma have just poked it awake. A shadow moves in the dark, its laughter sharp as a blade. The city doesn't care. It never does. But the land remembers. And its angry asterisk. Kamau's hand still burned where he'd touched the tree, a dull ache that pulsed like a heartbeat. He sat on the curb outside the construction site, the Gigiri mansion's lights a distant blur. Kimi paced in front of him, her boots kicking up dust, while Juma crouched nearby, scrolling through his phone's blacked-out live stream, muttering about content curses and bad Wi-Fi juju. You okay, rich kid? Kimi asked, her voice sharp, but her eyes softer than before. She stopped pacing, hands on her hips, looking like she was ready to fight the night itself. Kamau nodded, though he wasn't sure. His head was a mess of half-remembered visions. The mountain, the hyena, those 9 girls with faces he couldn't quite see. I heard something, he said finally. Voices. A lot of them. Juma looked up, his usual grin replaced by wide-eyed curiosity. Like, ghost voices? Ancestor vibes? Bruh, you're giving me chills. He held up his phone. My stream cut off the second you touched that tree. 500 people saw nothing but static. That's not normal. Nothing about this is normal, Kimi snapped. She pointed at the Mugumo tree, its glowing patterns now faint but still there, like embers under ash. That thing's not on any survey maps. My dad's company's been tearing up this lot for months. I'd know. Your dad? Kamau raised an eyebrow. The real estate guy? Kimi's jaw tightened. Yeah, and don't start. He's a jerk, but he's not this kind of crazy. She gestured at the tree. That's something else. Kamau wanted to ask more, but the air shifted, heavy and electric, like a storm was coming. The city sounds, car horns, distant music, faded, and that humming came back, low and insistent. He stood, drawn to the tree again despite the ache in his hand. It's still calling, he whispered. Calling, Juma said, scrambling to his feet. Nah, man, trees don't call. They just stand there, right? Kimi grabbed Kamau's arm before he could move closer. Don't be stupid. You touched it once, and you nearly passed out. We need to figure out what this is before you go all Avatar on us. But Kamau wasn't listening. The humming was louder now, not just in his head, but in the ground, the air, his bones. He pulled free and stepped toward the tree, his breath shallow. The patterns pulsed brighter, forming shapes, spirals, knots, a figure that looked like a hyena mid-leap. And then he saw it, a crack in the trunk, oozing something dark and thick, like sap, but wrong. It smelled of rot and iron. Yo, that's nasty, Juma said, covering his nose. He'd followed Kamau, phone out again, recording despite himself. Is that blood? It's not blood, Kimi said, but her voice wavered. She stepped closer, her bravado cracking. Kamau, back off. Now. Too late. The sap moved, slithering up the trunk like it was alive. The humming turned into a growl, low and guttural, and the shadows around the tree thickened. Kamau's vision blurred again, and this time, the voices were clear. Guardian. Betrayed. The 9th. A shape lunged from the darkness. A hyena, its eyes glowing red, its teeth bared. It wasn't real. Couldn't be. But Kamau felt its breath, hot and sour, as it snapped at his face. He stumbled back, tripping over a root. Kimi yanked him up, her strength surprising, and shoved him behind her. Stay down, she shouted, grabbing a broken rebar from the ground like a weapon. The hyena circled, its form flickering like a bad signal, half solid, half smoke. Juma screamed, dropped his phone, and bolted for the fence, yelling, I'm out! I'm out! Juma, you coward! Kimi yelled, but she didn't take her eyes off the creature. It laughed, a high chilling sound that echoed in Kamau's skull. Then it spoke, its voice a rasp of rage and grief. You woke me, boy. You'll pay ... Kamau's heart slammed against his ribs. What are you? He whispered. The hyena's eyes locked on his. Guardian's blood. Traitor's blood. The land will take what it's owed. It lunged again, but Kimi swung the rebar, and the creature dissolved into smoke, its laughter fading into the night. For a moment, no one moved. Juma peeked from behind the fence, panting. Is it gone? Tell me it's gone. Kimi dropped the rebar, her hands shaking. What the hell was that, Kamau? You saw it, right? Tell me I'm not crazy. You're not crazy, Kamau said, his voice hoarse. He looked at the tree, its glow dim now, the sap still. It called me guardian, like in my dreams. Dreams? Kimi's eyes narrowed. What dreams? Before he could answer, Juma jogged back, holding his phone like a shield. Okay, I'm calm, but like, what was that? A ghost? A demon? A TikTok filter gone rogue? He paused, then pointed at Kamau. And what's this guardian stuff? You holding out on us, man? Kamau hesitated. He'd never told anyone about the dreams. Not his adoptive father. Not his teachers. Not even himself, really. But the tree. The hyena. The voices. They weren't random. They were tied to him. I've been dreaming about a mountain, he said slowly. Kirin Yaga. And a tree like this one. And Ancestors. They keep saying I'm one of them. A guardian. Kimi stared at him, her sarcasm gone. Kirinyaga, like Mount Kenya. That's sacred land. My dad's been fighting to build a resort there. Says it's just dirt, but... She trailed off, her eyes flicking to the tree. This is his project, this lot. Juma whistled. Plot twist. Your dad's messing with sacred stuff. That's like horror movie 101. No offense. Shut up, Juma, Kimi said. But there was no heat in it. She looked at Kamau. You think this is connected? Your dreams, this tree, that thing. Kamau nodded. It's not just a tree. It's a Mugumo, sacred to the Kikuyu. My real family, maybe. He swallowed, the words heavy. I don't know who they were. I was adopted when I was a baby. But the dreams, they feel like memories. Juma's eyes lit up. Bruh, you're like a chosen one. That's dope. Also terrifying, but dope. He paused, then frowned. Wait, that hyena thing said, traitor's blood. What's that about? Kamau shook his head. I don't know, but it's not done with us. As if on cue, the tree hummed again, softer now, like a sigh. The ground trembled faintly, and in the distance, a dog howled, then another. The city felt alive in a way it hadn't before, like it was watching them. Kimi grabbed Kamau's wrist, her grip tight. We need to figure this out. Fast. If my dad's bulldozers are waking up cursed hyenas, we're all screwed. Juma nodded, already filming the tree again. I'm in, but if we die, I'm blaming you, Kamau. No offense. Kamau almost smiled, despite the fear curling in his gut. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone. Terrified, sure. Lost, definitely. But not alone. The Mugumo tree stood silent, its roots deep in the earth, whispering secrets none of them were ready to hear. Somewhere, out there, the hyena was waiting. The curse is awake, and Kamau's dreams are no longer just dreams. Kimi's defiance and Juma's humour might keep them alive, or get them killed. What lies beneath the Mugumo, and what does it mean to be a guardian in a city that's forgotten its roots? The whispers are growing louder. Chapter 3. The Song in the Leaves. The Mugumo tree has spoken, and its words are a warning. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are bound by a touch, a curse, and a secret they can't outrun. Nairobi's concrete jungle hides more than they know, and the hyena's laughter is only the beginning. Kamau hadn't slept. Not really. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the hyena's ember-lit gaze, heard its rasping voice. Guardian's blood, traitor's blood. The words clung to him like damp air as he sat in the back seat of his adoptive father's Range Rover, the morning sun glaring off Lavington's gated estates. The driver, silent as always, manoeuvred through traffic, heading toward Kamau's school. But Kamau's mind was still at the construction site, with the Mugumo tree and the thing that wasn't quite a beast. His phone buzzed. A group chat he hadn't asked to be in. Kimi had added him last night, along with Juma, before they'd split up under the cover of the party's chaos. The message was from Juma, predictably chaotic. Yo, Kamau, you alive? That tree's still haunting my dreams. Also, I got 2,000 new followers from that static vid. Cursed content star. Kimi's reply was instant. Juma, stop monetizing our near-death experience. Kamau, you good? We need to talk. Meet at the Java House in Gigiri. 4 p.m. Don't flake. Kamau typed back. I'm fine. I'll be there. He wasn't fine. His hand still ached where he'd touched the tree, and the city felt wrong. The Matatu's blaring music seemed too loud. the jacaranda trees lining the road too still, like they were listening. He glanced out the window, half expecting to see the hyena slinking between parked cars. School was a blur of lectures and whispers, classmates gossiping about the party, about Senator Mwangi's latest speech, about some influencer who'd crashed a Benz in Westlands. Kamau kept his head down, but the humming was back, faint but persistent, like a song stuck in his head. By the time the final bell rang, he was out the gate, dodging the driver to catch a matatu to Gigiri. Java House was packed, the air thick with coffee and chatter. Kimi was already there, slouched in a corner booth, her leather jacket swapped for a hoodie that still looked like it belonged to someone else. Juma sat across from her, devouring a plate of samosas and scrolling through his phone. "Yo, chosen one," Juma called, waving a samosa. "You look like you saw a ghost. Or, a demon hyena." "Keep it down," Kimi hissed, kicking Juma under the table. She nodded at the empty seat. "Sit, Kamau. You look like you're about to bolt." He slid into the booth, the humming in his head louder now, syncing with the rhythm of a song he couldn't place. "I'm here," he said, voice low. "What's the plan?" Kimi leaned forward, her eyes scanning the room like she expected the hyena to stroll in with a latte. "We need to know what that tree is. Why it's glowing. Why it did whatever it did to you." She hesitated, then added, "And why I heard it too." Kamau froze. "You heard it?" She nodded, almost reluctantly. "Not like you did. Not words. More like a feeling. Like something was pulling at me, telling me to stay." She shook her head, braids swaying. "I don't do mystical crap, Kamau. That's your thing. But I'm not imagining it." Juma paused mid-bite. Wait. You both got tree vibes? I didn't hear nothing, but I swear I saw that ascended master that tree last night. It's not just you, Kamau. It's all of us. Kamau's stomach twisted. "All of us?" "Yeah," Juma said, wiping samosa crumbs off his shirt. "When you went all zombie mode, I felt something too. Like a song in the leaves. Sounded like my grandma's old lullabies. The ones she said came from the ancestors." He shrugged, trying to play it cool, but his eyes were wide. It was creepy as hell. Kamau's pulse quickened. "What kind of song?" Juma hummed a few notes, off-key but familiar. Too familiar. Kamau's breath caught. It was the same melody that had been looping in his head all day, a Kikuyu chant he'd never learned but somehow knew. "That's it," he said. "I've been hearing it too." Kimi stared at them both. "Okay, this is officially weird. We need answers. My dad's office has files on every project, including that lot. I can sneak in tonight, see if there's anything about the tree or the land." "Your dad's not going to like that," Juma said, grinning. "He already hates Kamau's dad. This is straight-up soap opera drama." Kimi glared. "He doesn't need to know, and neither does Senator Mwangi. They're both too busy arguing over who gets to pave over sacred land for profit." Kamau's jaw tightened. His adoptive father had been on the phone all morning, ranting about Kimi's dad and the Mount Kenya resort deal. "What's the deal with that resort?" he asked. Kimi sighed. "Some big eco-luxury project near Mount Kenya. My dad's obsessed with it. Says it'll put Nairobi on the global map. But the locals, Kikuyu elders mostly, keep protesting. Say the land's sacred, tied to some old prophecy about 9 daughters." She paused, her eyes flicking to Kamau. "Sound familiar?" Kamau's skin prickled. The 9 girls from his dreams, standing in a circle, their hands linked. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Too familiar." Juma leaned in, whispering dramatically. "Bruh, you think we're in a prophecy? Like, chosen ones?" For real? Juma, you watch too many movies, Kimi said, but her voice lacked its usual bite. She looked at Kamau. You're the one with the dreams. Any clues about these 9 daughters? Kamau shook his head. Just flashes, faces I can't see, a mountain, a tree, and a warning, something about a betrayal. He didn't mention the hyena's words, traitor's blood. Not yet. He didn't know what they meant, and he wasn't sure he wanted to. Kimi stood, tossing a few shillings on the table. Meet me at my dad's office tonight, midnight. Bring your courage, rich kid. Juma, bring your brain for once. Rude, Juma said, but he was already packing up his samosas. I'm in, but if we see that hyena again, I'm running. No offense. Kamau almost laughed, but the humming in his head grew louder, the chant clearer now, words forming. The 9 will rise, the land will judge. He didn't know what it meant, but as they left Java House, the city felt alive again. Dogs barking in the distance, leaves rustling with no wind. And somewhere, deep in Nairobi's roots, the hyena was watching. The song in the leaves is growing louder, and the prophecy of the 9 daughters is no longer just a dream. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are stepping into a mystery that ties their blood to the land, and to a curse that won't stay buried. What secrets hide in the files of Kimi's father? And what will the Mugumo demand next? Kamau didn't want to go. Every instinct screamed to stay put, to ignore the tree, to pretend he hadn't heard his name in the wind. But Kimi's grip was firm, and something in her eyes, fierce, curious, maybe a little scared, pulled him along. The construction site was a maze of dirt piles and rebar. The Mugumo stood alone, untouched by the chaos around it. Up close, the glowing patterns were clearer, spirals and lines, like a language etched in light. Kamau's fingers twitched, an urge to touch it overwhelming him. Don't, Kimi warned, but it was too late. His hand brushed the bark. The world tilted. A sound like 1,000 voices chanting filled his head, and the ground seemed to hum beneath his feet. Images flooded his mind. A mountain, a hyena with eyes like embers. 9 girls standing in a circle, their hands linked. And then, a scream. Not his, not Kimi's, not Juma's, but something ancient, furious, alive. Kamau stumbled back, his hand burning. Juma dropped his phone, the live stream cutting out. Kimi caught Kamau before he hit the ground, her face pale. What the hell was that? She demanded. Kamau couldn't answer. His vision blurred, but he saw it, a shadow moving in the darkness, low and sleek, with eyes that glowed like the girl in his dreams. It wasn't human, it wasn't animal, it was something else. Somewhere in the distance, a hyena laughed. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma have no idea what they've awakened. A curse stirs, a prophecy unfolds, and the whispers under Kirinyaga are only beginning to speak. What secrets lie in the roots of the Mugumo? And what does it mean to be a guardian when you don't even know who you are? Chapter 4. The Weight of Secrets. The chant grows louder, weaving through Nairobi's neon veins. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are bound to a tree, a curse and a prophecy they don't understand. Tonight, they sneak into the heart of Kimi's father's empire, searching for answers. But some truths are heavier than others, and the hyena's eyes are never far away. The moon hung low over Nairobi, its light slicing through the smog to paint Gigiri's skyscrapers in silver. Kamau crouched behind a dumpster in the alley behind Kimi's father's office building, a sleek glass tower that screamed money and ambition. His heart pounded, not just from the risk of getting caught, but from the chant still looping in his head. The 9 will rise. The land will judge. It was louder now, insistent, like a pulse in the earth itself. Kimi knelt beside him, her hoodie pulled tight, a flashlight tucked into her waistband. She'd been quiet since Java House, her usual fire dimmed by something Kamau couldn't read. Juma, on the other hand, was vibrating with nervous energy. His phone dimmed but still in hand, muttering about epic stealth content under his breath. "Juma, if you start filming, I swear I'll break your phone," Kimi whispered, her eyes scanning the alley. A security guard patrolled the building's back entrance, his flashlight beam sweeping lazily across the pavement. "Chill, I'm not that dumb," Juma hissed back, though he looked tempted. "But if we die, I'm blaming you. This is some Mission Impossible nonsense." Kamau ignored them, his gaze fixed on the guard. The man paused, yawned, then checked his phone, giving them a window. "Now," Kamau whispered. Kimi moved first, silent and quick, slipping a keycard from her pocket. "Stolen from her dad's desk," she'd said. She swiped it at the side door, and it clicked open. Kamau and Juma followed, hearts racing as they ducked inside. The hallway was all polished marble and corporate art, the kind of place that felt like it was watching you back. The chant in Kamau's head grew sharper, almost painful, like a needle threading through his thoughts. "Third floor," Kimi whispered, leading them to a service stairwell. "His office is there, files, contracts, everything about the Mount Kenya project." "Why's your dad so obsessed with that land?" Kamau asked, keeping his voice low as they climbed. The stairwell smelled of bleach and metal, and every step echoed too loudly. Kimi's jaw tightened. "Money, power, the usual. He says it's about tourism, but he's been weird about it lately. Secret meetings, late-night calls. I heard him yelling about elders and curses last week. Thought he was just drunk." Juma snorted. "Your dad's out here fighting curses? Man, I need to meet this guy." "You don't," Kimi said flatly, pushing open the third-floor door. The office was a shrine to ego. Mahogany desk, leather chairs, a wall of awards and photos of Kimi's dad shaking hands with politicians. A massive window overlooked Nairobi's skyline, the city glittering like a promise. Kimi went straight for the filing cabinet, prying it open with a paperclip and a curse. Kamau stood guard by the door, his skin prickling. The chant was louder here, the air heavy, like the building itself was holding its breath. "Got something," Kimi said, pulling out a folder labelled Kirinyaga Heights. She spread it on the desk, revealing maps, contracts, and handwritten notes. "This is the resort plan. Look, surveys of the land, environmental reports. But there's something else." She held up a yellowed page, its edges frayed, covered in Kikuyu script and sketches of a tree that looked eerily like the Mugumo from the construction site. Kamau's breath caught. "What's it say?" Kimi squinted, her lips moving as she tried to pass the text. "I'm not fluent, but something about the 9 daughters and a guardian's betrayal. Says the land is protected by a covenant, tied to a sacred Mugumo. If it's broken..." She trailed off, her face paling. "If it's broken, what?" Juma asked, leaning over her shoulder. Kimi swallowed. "A curse wakes. A guardian trapped in shadow will rise. It's angry." Kamau's hand burned again, the ache flaring like a warning. He grabbed the page, his eyes scanning the script. He shouldn't have understood it. He'd never studied Kikuyu, but the words unrolled in his mind like a memory. The 9th daughter holds the key. The traitor's blood will pay. His vision blurred, and for a moment he saw the mountain again, Kirinyaga's peaks sharp against a blood-red sky. The hyena stood there, its eyes locked on his. "Kamau!" Kimi's voice snapped him back. She was staring at him, worry creasing her brow. "You okay? You went all blank." He shook his head, the chant fading but not gone. "It's the same as my dreams. The 9 daughters, the betrayal, the hyena." Juma backed up a step. "Yo, you're freaking me out. You think that thing's real? Like, actually out there?" "It's real," Kamau said, his voice steady despite the fear clawing his chest. "And it's tied to me. To us." Kimi shoved the folder back into the cabinet, her hands shaking. "Okay, so my dad's building on cursed land, and you're some kind of chosen one. Great. What do we do?" Before Kamau could answer, the lights flickered. The air turned cold, sharp, like a blade against their skin. The chant in Kamau's head surged, joined by a low growl that wasn't in his mind. It was in the room. Juma yelped, dropping his phone. Kimi grabbed a letter opener from the desk, her eyes darting to the shadows. The hyena emerged from the corner, its form flickering like smoke, eyes glowing red. It didn't lunge this time, just stood there, its gaze fixed on Kamau. "You cannot hide," it rasped, its voice echoing in their skulls. "The land knows your blood. The 9th waits, ... Kamau's knees buckled, but Kimi stepped in front of him, brandishing the letter opener. "Back off, you mangy ghost!" she shouted, her voice cracking but fierce. The hyena laughed, a sound that rattled the windows, then dissolved into smoke, leaving only the echo of its words. Juma was already at the door, panting. "I'm done. I'm out. This is not content I signed up for." Kimi grabbed his arm. "You're not bailing, Juma. We're in this together." She turned to Kamau, her eyes fierce. "What did it mean? The 9th waits." Kamau's mouth was dry. "The 9th daughter, from the prophecy. I think she's the key to stopping this." Kimi nodded, her jaw set. "Then we find her, and we figure out what your blood has to do with it." As they slipped out of the office, the city outside hummed with life. Cars, music, laughter. But beneath it all, Kamau felt the land watching, its roots stirring, its secrets heavy. The chant was softer now, but it carried a new weight. Find her. Find her before the hyena does. The prophecy is real, and the hyena's curse is closing in. Kamau's dreams are no longer just visions. They're a map to a truth that could save or doom them all. Kimi's defiance and Juma's loyalty are tested as they chase a mystery deeper than Nairobi's foundations. Who is the 9th daughter, and what will the land demand to heal its wounds? Chapter 5. The River's Chant. The hyena's shadow lingers, its words a blade in Kamau's mind. The 9th daughter is out there, a key to a prophecy that binds him, Kimi, and Juma to a curse they didn't choose. Nairobi's pulse hides the truth, but the land is singing, and its song leads to a river where secrets drown or rise. Kamau's sneakers sank into the damp earth as he followed Kimi and Juma through the overgrown path behind Lavington's estates. The city's hum faded, replaced by the rush of a nearby river and the chant that hadn't left his head since the office. Find her before the hyena does. It was 1 a.m. The air cool and heavy with the scent of wet leaves and something sharper, like ozone before a storm. Kimi led the way, her flashlight cutting through the dark, her steps sure despite the uneven ground. She hadn't spoken much since they'd fled her father's office, but her silence wasn't anger. It was focus. Juma trailed behind, clutching a stick he'd picked up for protection. though he kept muttering about needing a better weapon against demon dogs. "This is a terrible idea," Juma said, swatting at a mosquito. "We're out here chasing a prophecy in the middle of the night. You know Nairobi has leopards, right? And ghosts, and probably cursed leopards." "Shut up, Juma," Kimi said, but there was a tremor in her voice. She stopped at the edge of the river, its waters black and glinting under the moon. "This is it, the Ngong River. The files mentioned it, said the elders protested because it's tied to the Mugumo and the prophecy." Kamau's skin prickled, the chant in his head synced with the river's flow, the words clearer now. "The ninth daughter guards the heart. Her voice will break the curse." He stepped closer to the water, drawn by something he couldn't name. "What else did the files say?" he asked. Kimi pulled out the crumpled page she'd swiped from her dad's office, its Kikuyu script barely legible in the flashlight's beam. "It's vague. Something about a heart of the land hidden where the river sings. The elders called it a sacred place, protected by the 9 daughters. One of them, the 9th, betrayed the covenant, and a guardian was cursed for it. That's all I got before the hyena showed up." Juma shivered. "So, we're looking for a magic river rock or something? Cool. Not creepy at all." He swung his stick like a sword, nearly hitting Kamau. "Oops, my bad." Kamau ignored him, his eyes on the river. The water moved strangely, swirling in patterns that mirrored the glowing lines on the Mugumo tree. His hand ached again, the burn flaring as he knelt by the bank. "It's here," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Something's here." Kimi crouched beside him, her shoulder brushing his. "What do you mean? You're doing that blank stare thing again." He didn't know how to explain it. The river was singing, not just the chant in his head, but a real sound, low and haunting, like voices layered over the water's rush. He reached out, his fingers grazing the surface. The cold bit into his skin, and then he saw her. A girl, no older than him, stood in the river's center, her form shimmering like moonlight on water. Her eyes burned, not with fire, but with something deeper, ancient, alive. She raised a hand, and the chant surged. "Guardian, you are late." Her voice wasn't in the air but in his bones, and Kamau gasped, falling back. Kimi caught him, her grip tight. "Kamau, what's wrong?" "Did you see her?" he panted, pointing at the river, but the girl was gone, the water still. "She was there, the 9th daughter. She spoke to me." Juma backed up, stick raised. "Nope, I'm out. You're seeing ghosts now. I'm not built for this." Kimi's eyes narrowed, but she didn't let go of Kamau. "What did she say?" "She called me guardian. Said I was late." Kamau's heart raced, the ache in his hand spreading to his chest. "She's real, Kimi. She's part of this." Before Kimi could respond, the river churned, a wave rising unnatural and fast. It crashed over the bank, soaking their shoes, and from the spray, the hyena emerged, its form sharper now, less smoke, more flesh. Its eyes locked on Kamau, and its laugh was a blade, slicing through the night. "Late, late, late," it snarled. "The land will take its due." Kimi shoved Kamau behind her, grabbing a rock from the ground. "Not today, you creepy mutt," she shouted, hurling it. The rock passed through the hyena, but it flinched, its form flickering. Juma, to his credit, didn't run this time. He swung his stick, yelling something about ancestral vibes, but the hyena ignored him, its gaze fixed on Kamau. "You cannot run," it said, stepping closer, its claws sinking into the earth. "The 9th betrayed us. You will not." Kamau's mind raced. The 9th daughter Had she betrayed the covenant? Was that why the hyena was cursed? He didn't know, but the river's chant was louder, urging him to move. He stumbled to his feet, grabbing Kimi's arm. We need to find her. Now! The hyena lunged, but Kimi was faster. She yanked Kamau toward the river, shouting, "Jump!" They hit the water together, the cold stealing their breath. Juma hesitated, then dove in after them, cursing the whole way. The current pulled them under, and for a moment, Kamau thought they'd drown. But then he heard it. A chant, clear and strong. Not in his head, but in the water itself. Kamau, it sang, and he saw her again, the girl with burning eyes. She reached for him, her hand warm despite the icy river. "Find me," she whispered, and then she was gone. They surfaced, gasping, on the other side of the bank. The hyena was nowhere in sight, but its laughter echoed in the distance. Kimi coughed, her braids dripping, and glared at Kamau. "You owe me a new hoodie," she said. But her hand lingered on his arm, steadying him. Juma crawled out, shivering. "I'm never swimming again. Also, I lost my stick. But did you hear that? The singing?" Kamau nodded, his chest tight. "It's her, the 9th daughter. She's calling us." Kimi stood, wringing out her hoodie. "Then we follow. But if we're chasing ghosts, Kamau, you'd better start explaining those dreams, all of them." As they trudged back toward the city, the river's chant faded, but its weight stayed with them. The hyena was out there, and so was the 9th daughter. Kamau felt the land's pulse beneath his feet, its secrets rising like the tide. The river has spoken, and the 9th daughter is no myth. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are in deeper than ever, their fates tied to a prophecy that could heal the land, or break it. The hyena hunts, and the truth is closer than they think. But what will it cost to find the 9th daughter before the curse claims them all? Chapter 6. The Fire in the Roots. The river's song has marked them, and the 9th daughter's call pulls Kamau, Kimi, and Juma deeper into a mystery that hums beneath Nairobi's skin. The hyena stalks closer, its rage a shadow over the city, but the land is waking, and its secrets burn hotter than they can bear. Kamau's clothes were still damp, clinging to his skin as he, Kimi, and Juma huddled in the back of a matatu, its speakers blaring a remix of a classic banger tune. The driver, oblivious to their dripping state, sang along off-key, weaving through Nairobi's late-night traffic. Kamau's hand throbbed, the ache now a steady pulse, like the land itself was trying to speak through him. The 9th daughter's voice echoed in his mind. "Find me." Her burning eyes haunted him, both a promise and a warning. Kimi sat beside him, her jaw set, staring out the window at the passing lights of Westlands. Her hoodie was ruined, but she hadn't complained again, just kept her arms crossed, her silence louder than Juma's nervous chatter. Juma, sprawled across the back seat, was scrolling through his phone, muttering about 0 bars and cursed signal juju. He'd lost his stick in the river, but somehow kept his phone dry, a fact he wouldn't shut up about. "Yo, Kamau," Juma said, leaning forward. "You gonna tell us about those dreams now? 'Cause I'm not diving into another haunted river without the full story. No offense, but you're giving serious Chosen One vibes, and I need context." Kimi shot Juma a look, but nodded. "He's right. You're seeing ghost girls, hearing chants, getting attacked by demon hyenas. Spill it, rich kid. What's in your head?" Kamau hesitated, the matatu's rumble filling the silence. He'd never told anyone about the dreams. Not fully. They were his, private and raw, like a piece of him he didn't understand. But the river had changed things. The ninth daughter wasn't just a vision anymore. She was real, and she was waiting. It's always the same, he started, his voice low. A mountain, Kiranyaga. A Mugumo tree, glowing like the one we saw. 9 girls in a circle, holding hands. They're singing. But it's not just a song, it's power, like they're keeping something locked away. And then there's her, the ninth. Her eyes burn, and she calls me guardian, says I'm late, like I've failed her. Kimi's eyes softened, just for a second. Failed her how? I don't know, Kamau admitted. But the hyena, it keeps saying traitor's blood. Like I did something, or my family did. He swallowed, the weight of it heavy. I don't even know who my real family is. My dad, Senator Mwangi. He adopted me when I was a baby. Said my parents died in a car accident. But the dreams, they feel like memories. Like I'm supposed to know. Juma whistled, leaning back. Bruh, that's heavy. You're out here carrying ancestral baggage, and you didn't even sign up for it. Respect. He paused, then grinned. Also, we're definitely in a prophecy. I'm calling it now. I'm the comic relief. Kimi's the badass. And you're the chosen one. Classic. Kimi rolled her eyes but didn't argue. Okay, so you're a guardian, whatever that means. And this ninth daughter is out there. Maybe tied to that river. What's next? We can't just keep running from that hyena thing. Kamau nodded, the chant in his head shifting. Softer now, but urgent. The heart burns where the roots meet. The river, he said. It's not just water. It's connected to the Mugumo, to the prophecy. I think we need to go back, to the tree. Juma groaned. Back to the cursed tree. Man, I'm trying to live past 16. Kimi ignored him, her eyes on Kamau. You sure? Last time you touched it, you went all zombie mode, and that hyena's not playing. I'm sure, Kamau said, though his stomach twisted. The ninth daughter. She's tied to the tree too. I felt her there, same as the river. We need to know why. The Matatu dropped them off near the Gigiri construction site, the city quieter now, the party long over. The Mugumo tree loomed ahead, its gnarled roots stark against the moonlight. The glowing patterns were faint but alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. Kamau's hand burned hotter as they approached, the chant growing louder. The heart burns where the roots meet. Kimi grabbed his arm before he could get closer. Wait, we do this together. No hero crap. Her voice was firm, but her grip was gentle, and for a moment, their eyes locked. Something passed between them. Fear, trust, something more. But neither spoke it aloud. Juma, hovering behind, clutched a rock he'd picked up from the road. Okay, team, what's the plan? Touch the tree, summon the ghost girl, fight the hyena. I need a script here. Kamau took a deep breath, stepping toward the tree. We listen. The land's trying to tell us something. We just need to hear it. He reached out, his fingers brushing the bark. The world tilted again, the chant roaring in his ears. The tree's glow flared, and he saw her, the ninth daughter, standing among the roots, her eyes blazing. Here, she whispered, pointing to the ground. The heart. The vision shattered as Kimi yanked him back, her voice sharp. Kamau, move! The hyena was there, its form solid now, fur-matted and eyes like molten fire. It didn't laugh this time, just growled, low and final. The traitor's blood wakes the heart. It snarled. You will not have her. Juma threw his rock, missing wildly. We need a better plan, he yelled, scrambling back. Kimi didn't flinch, She grabbed a broken branch, swinging it like a bat. "Stay away from him," she shouted, her voice fierce enough to make the hyena pause. But it wasn't looking at her. It was fixed on Kamau, its claws digging into the earth. Kamau's vision blurred, the ninth daughter's voice cutting through. "Dig. Find the heart." He dropped to his knees, clawing at the dirt beneath the tree's roots. His hands hit something hard. A stone. No, a carved box, its surface etched with the same spirals as the tree. The chant surged, deafening, as he pulled it free. The hyena roared, lunging. Kimi swung her branch, catching its side, but it barely slowed. Kamau clutched the box, his heart pounding. "Kimi! Juma! Run!" he yelled, but they didn't move. Kimi stood her ground, her eyes blazing. "We're not leaving you." Juma, pale but determined, grabbed another rock. "Yeah, what she said. Also, I'm totally filming this later." The hyena circled, its form flickering between beast and shadow. "The heart is mine," it hissed. "The ninth will not rise." Kamau opened the box, his hands shaking. Inside was a small pulsing stone, glowing like the Mugumo's roots. The ninth daughter's voice rang clear. "Speak my name." But he didn't know it. He didn't know her. The hyena charged, and Kamau braced for impact. But Kimi dove in front, shoving him aside. The beast's claws raked her arm, and she cried out, falling to her knees. Blood seeped through her sleeve, but she glared up at the hyena, defiant. "You're not winning this," she spat. Kamau's vision cleared, the chant shifting. Her name is Wanjiku. He didn't know how he knew, but he shouted it, clutching the stone. "Wanjiku!" The air exploded with light. The hyena screamed, its form dissolving into smoke. The tree's glow pulsed once, then faded, and the chant went silent. Kamau fell to his knees, the stone still warm in his hand. Kimi was breathing hard, clutching her arm. Juma dropped his rock, staring wide-eyed. "Did we win?" Juma asked, his voice shaking. Kimi winced, but her lips twitched into a half-smile. "Not dead yet. That's a win." Kamau looked at the stone, its glow dimming but alive. Wanjiku's voice was gone, but he felt her, close, waiting. The hyena wasn't gone for good. He knew that. But they had the heart, and they had her name. "We're not done," he said, helping Kimi up. Her hand lingered in his, warm despite the blood. "No," she agreed, her eyes fierce. "But we're not alone. The heart of the land is in their hands, and Wanjiku's name has pushed the hyena back. For now, Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are bound by blood and secrets, but the prophecy is far from fulfilled. What power lies in the stone? And what will it cost to face the curse head-on? The roots of Kiranyaga are burning, and the ninth daughter is waiting. Chapter 7. The Mark of the Nine. The heart of the land pulses in Kamau's hand, a stone that sings of Wanjiku, the ninth daughter. Her name stopped the hyena, but its shadow lingers, and Nairobi's roots are restless. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are marked by a prophecy they can't escape, and the truth cuts deeper than any claw. Kamau clutched the glowing stone, its warmth seeping into his palm as he, Kimi, and Juma stumbled away from the Mugumo tree. The construction site was silent now. The trees glowed dim, but the air still crackled with something alive, something watching. Kimi's arm was bleeding, the gash from the hyena's claws wrapped in Juma's torn Wakanda Forever t-shirt. She moved like it didn't hurt, but her face was pale, her jaw tight. "We need to get you to a hospital," Kamau said, his voice rough with guilt. He hadn't meant for her to get hurt. Not for him. Kimi shook her head, wincing as she adjusted the makeshift bandage. No hospitals. My dad's got people everywhere. If he finds out we were here, we're done. She met Kamau's eyes, her gaze fierce despite the pain. Besides, it's just a scratch. I've had worse. Juma, trailing behind with the carved box tucked under his arm, snorted. Scratch? Bruh, you got mauled by a ghost hyena. That's not a flex. He glanced at Kamau, his usual grin shaky. And you, shouting Wanjiku like some wizard. What was that? You know her name now. Kamau didn't answer right away. The stone in his hand pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat, and Wanjiku's voice lingered in his mind. Speak my name. He hadn't known it until the moment he said it, like the land itself had whispered it to him. I don't know how, he admitted. It just came to me. Like the dreams. They reached the edge of the construction site, slipping through a gap in the fence to the quiet streets of Gigiri. The city was asleep, save for the distant hum of a matatu and the occasional bark of a dog. Kamau's head throbbed, the chant softer now but still there. The 9 are marked. The heart must bind. He looked at Kimi and Juma, their faces lit by the streetlights. They were in this with him, whether they wanted to be or not. We need somewhere safe to figure this out, Kimi said, leaning against a wall to catch her breath. My place is out. My dad's probably up, raging about his latest deal. Juma? Juma shook his head. My mum's got guests. Influencers, actors. The whole Nollywood circus. They'll ask too many questions. He paused, then grinned. But I know a spot. My grandma's old house in Runda. It's empty, kinda creepy, but no one's gonna find us there. Kamau nodded. Let's go. The Matatu ride to Runda was tense, the 3 of them crammed in the back, the stone hidden in Kamau's pocket. Kimi kept her injured arm close, her eyes scanning the dark like she expected the hyena to leap from the shadows. Juma fidgeted with the carved box, tracing its spirals with his thumb. This thing's heavy, he muttered. Like spiritually heavy. You think it's cursed too? It's not cursed, Kamau said, though he wasn't sure. The stone felt alive, its warmth both comforting and unsettling. It's important. Wanjiku wanted us to find it. Kimi raised an eyebrow. You're on a first-name basis with a ghost now. Great. Next, you'll be inviting her for chai. Kamau almost smiled, but the weight of the stone kept him grounded. She's not a ghost. She's something else. Part of the prophecy. The 9th daughter. Juma's grandma's house was a squat, weathered bungalow tucked behind overgrown jacarandas. The gate creaked as they pushed it open, and the air smelled of dust and forgotten stories. Inside, the living room was a time capsule, faded photos on the walls, a cracked radio in the corner, and a woven mat that looked older than all of them combined. Juma flicked on a lamp, casting long shadows across the room. Home sweet home, Juma said, flopping onto a sagging couch. Grandma moved to Nairobi last year, but she left all her stuff. Said the house has good bones. He shivered. Feels like haunted bones to me. Kimi eased herself into a chair, wincing as she adjusted her arm. Okay, Kamau. Talk. What's with the stone? And don't give me that I don't know nonsense. You're the one with the dreams. Kamau set the stone on the table, its faint glow illuminating the room. The spirals on the carved box seemed to pulse in sync, and the chant in his head shifted. The mark binds you. The 9 are one. He took a deep breath. In my dreams, the 9 daughters are guarding something. A balance. The land, the mountain, the Mugumo trees. They're all connected. Wanjiku's the 9th, but she's different. Like she broke something, or someone broke her. Kimi frowned, leaning forward. The files said the ninth betrayed the covenant. You think that's why the hyena's after you. It called you traitor's blood. Kamau's chest tightened. Maybe, but I don't know what I did, or what my family did. He looked at the stone, its light flickering. This is the heart of the land. Wanjiku said it would break the curse, but we need all 9 daughters, or their power. Juma sat up, eyes wide. Hold up. You saying there's 8 more ghost girls out there, and we gotta find them? Man, I just wanted to make TikToks. Kimi ignored him, her gaze fixed on the stone. There's something else in the files, a list of names, 9 of them. Wanjiku was one. The others, they sounded old, like from the stories my grandma used to tell. Kikuyu names, tied to the clans. She paused, her voice softening. I think I know one of them. Kamau's head snapped up. What? Kimi hesitated, her fingers brushing the bandage on her arm. When the hyena attacked, I said something. A chant. I don't know where it came from. It just spilled out, like I'd known it forever. She looked at Kamau, her eyes uncertain. It was in Kikuyu. Something about protection. And then the hyena backed off. Juma's jaw dropped. Yo, you're a daughter, like one of the 9. That's why you're so scary. Kimi glared. I'm not a daughter. I'm just me. But her voice wavered, and she looked away, like the idea scared her more than the hyena. Kamau's mind raced. The chant in his head shifted again. The mark binds you. He grabbed Kimi's uninjured hand, turning it over. There, on her wrist, was a faint spiral, glowing faintly like the stone. Look, he said, his voice shaking. Kimi yanked her hand back, staring at the mark. What the hell is that? Juma leaned in, then checked his own wrist. Bruh, I got one too. His mark was fainter, but there, a spiral, pulsing in time with the stone. Kamau checked his own hand. The burn from the tree had left a mark. The same spiral, etched into his palm. We're marked, Kamau said, the truth settling like a stone in his gut. The prophecy, it's not just me. It's us. Before anyone could respond, the lamp flickered and the air turned cold. The hyena's laugh echoed, not outside, but inside. Bouncing off the walls, the stone flared, and Wanjiku's voice rang in Kamau's head. The mark is your shield. Use it, Dotstar. The hyena materialized in the corner, its eyes blazing. You cannot hide the heart. It snarled. The traitor's blood will burn. Kimi grabbed the stone, shoving it into Kamau's hands. Do something, Guardian. Kamau clutched it, his mark burning. He didn't know how, but he shouted, Wanjiku, help us! The stone flared, light exploding across the room. The hyena screamed, its form fracturing, but not before its claws swiped at Juma, grazing his leg. The light faded, the hyena gone. Juma collapsed, cursing, blood seeping through his jeans. Kimi knelt beside him, her hands shaking but steady as she tore her sleeve to bind his wound. You're okay, she said, more to herself than him. Kamau's heart pounded, the stone still warm in his hands. It's not over, he said. We're marked, but so is the hyena. It's not just after me, it's after all of us. Kimi looked up, her eyes fierce. Then we fight, together. Juma groaned, but his grin was back. Yeah, team prophecy. But next time, I'm bringing a real weapon. The stone pulsed, and Wanjiku's voice whispered, Find the others. The 9 must rise. The mark of the 9 binds them, but the hyena's curse grows stronger. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are no longer just kids. They're part of a prophecy that could save the land or destroy it. The heart is theirs, but the other daughters are out there waiting. Can they find them before the hyena's claws strike again? Chapter 8. The Daughter's Call. The heartstone burns with Wanjiku's truth, and the marks on Kamau, Kimi, and Juma bind them to a prophecy older than Nairobi's skyline. The hyena's claws have drawn blood, but its rage is only a shadow of the curse's power. The 9 daughters are out there, their voices rising, and the land demands its due. The air in Juma's grandma's house was thick with dust and the faint tang of blood. Kamau sat on the worn couch, the heartstone heavy in his pocket, its glow dim but alive. Kimi knelt beside Juma, who was sprawled on the floor, his leg bandaged with her torn sleeve. He was pale, but his grin held, shaky as it was. "Yo, I'm fine," he said, wincing as Kimi tightened the knot. "Just a scratch from a demon hyena. No biggie." "Stop talking," Kimi snapped, but her hands were gentle, her eyes flicking between Juma's wound and the spiral mark on her wrist. It glowed faintly, mirroring the one on Kamau's palm and Juma's wrist. The chant in Kamau's head was softer now, but its words were clear. The 9 must rise. The heart binds all asterisk. "We can't stay here," Kamau said, his voice low. The hyena's laughter still echoed in his mind, its words. "The traitor's blood will burn, cutting deeper than its claws. It'll come back. It knows we have the heart." Kimi stood, wiping her hands on her jeans. "Then we move. But where? We've got a glowing rock, a cursed hyena, and some ancient prophecy saying we're part of it. We need a plan, Kamau, not more visions." Juma propped himself up, grimacing. "Yeah, and I need a new leg. Also, my phone's at, 5%, so if we're gonna save the world, let's make it quick." He paused, then pointed at Kimi. "Also, real talk. You chanted some Kikuyu magic back at the river. You're totally one of the 9 daughters. Own it." Kimi's eyes flashed. "I'm not a daughter. I'm just me." But her voice faltered and she looked away, rubbing her marked wrist. "I don't know where that chant came from. It was like instinct." Kamau's chest tightened. He'd felt it too, the instinct, the pull of something older than himself. He pulled the heartstone from his pocket, its glow casting shadows across the room. Wanjiku said to find the others, the other daughters. I think you're one of them, Kimi. And maybe Juma too." Juma laughed, then winced. "Me? A daughter? Nah, bruh, I'm the comic relief. But I'll take chosen one status if it comes with superpowers." Kimi didn't smile. She stared at the stone, her expression unreadable. "If I'm one of them, what does that mean? That I'm cursed? That my dad's resort is screwing us all? Or," she hesitated, her voice dropping, "that I'm supposed to fix it?" Kamau didn't have an answer. The stone pulsed, and Wanjiku's voice whispered again. "The daughters are near. Follow the song." He stood, his legs unsteady, but his resolve firm. "We need to go back to the river. The chant. It's stronger there. It'll lead us to the others." Kimi frowned. "The river? After what happened? You're insane." "He's right," Juma said, surprising them both. He struggled to his feet, leaning on the couch. "That song in the leaves, the one I heard, it's the same as my grandma's lullabies. She used to say they came from the clans, from the daughters of Gikuyu and Mumbi. If we're marked, the river's our best shot." Kimi sighed, running a hand through her damp braids. "Fine. But if we get eaten, I'm haunting you both." The Ngong River was a black ribbon under the pre-dawn sky. Its waters quieter now, but no less alive. The trio moved slowly, Juma limping but refusing help, Kimi's flashlight sweeping the path. Kamau's mark burned, the stone in his pocket humming in sync with the river's flow. The chant was louder here, weaving through the air like a thread. The daughters call. The heart will guide dot, dot, dot. They stopped at the bank where they'd seen Wanjiku, the water glinting with faint spirals, like echoes of the Mugumo's patterns. Kamau knelt, the stone warm in his hand. "Show us," he whispered, not sure if he was talking to Wanjiku or the land itself. The water stirred and a figure appeared. Not Wanjiku, but another girl, her form shimmering like mist. Her eyes were soft, not burning, but her presence was heavy, like the weight of a storm. "Jerry," she said, her voice a melody in the chant. "I am the second, the healer." She pointed to Kimi, whose mark flared bright. "You carry my strength." Kimi gasped, stumbling back. "What the hell?" The figure turned to Juma, her gaze gentle. "Mumbi's joy lives in you. The eighth." Juma's mark glowed and he froze, his usual quips gone. Kamau's heart raced. "Njeri," he said, testing the name. "Where are the others?" The figure, Njeri, smiled faintly. "The heart knows. Follow the roots." She pointed to the riverbank, where a gnarled root broke the surface, glowing faintly. Then she was gone, the water still. Kimi's hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "Okay, I'm Njeri. Fine. What's that mean? I'm supposed to heal stuff. I can't even heal my own arm." Juma stared at his wrist, his mark pulsing. "Mumbi's joy? Yo, that's dope. But also, what? I'm the eighth. This is getting too real." Kamau clutched the stone, its glow brighter now. "We're part of the 9. You, me, maybe others we haven't found. The heart's leading us to them." He moved to the root Njeri had pointed to, its surface etched with spirals. He touched it, and the chant surged. The roots led north, to Kirinyaga. "North," Kamau said, standing. "To Mount Kenya. That's where the others are." Kimi's eyes widened. "That's my dad's resort land. If we go there, we're walking into his territory. He'll know." Juma grinned, though it was strained. "Road trip to a cursed mountain. I'm in, but we need, like, snacks, and maybe a spear." Before they could move, the air turned cold and the hyena's laugh cut through the night. It emerged from the shadows, its form more solid than ever, teeth gleaming. "The heart is not yours," it snarled, eyes fixed on Kamau. "The traitor's blood will break it." Kamau raised the stone, its light flaring. Kimi stepped beside him, her mark glowing. "We're not afraid of you," she said, though her voice shook. Juma, limping but defiant, raised a fist. "Yeah, what she said. Team prophecy, let's go." The hyena lunged, but the stone's light exploded, and Njeri's voice rang out. "The mark is your shield." The beast recoiled, its form fracturing, but its eyes promised a return. "You cannot outrun the land," it hissed, then vanished. Kamau's knees buckled, but Kimi caught him, her touch steadying. "We're going to Kirinyaga," she said, her voice fierce. "We find the others. We end this." The stone pulsed, and the chant whispered, "North, to the mountain, to the 9 asterisks." The daughters are rising, and Kamau, Kimi, and Juma carry their marks. Njeri's strength and Mumbi's joy bind them, but the hyena's curse is far from broken. The road to Kirinyaga looms, a path through secrets and danger. Can they find the remaining daughters before the land claims its traitor's blood? Chapter 9. The Mountain's Shadow. The Heartstone pulses with the names of Wanjiku and Njeri, and the marks of the 9 bind Kamau, Kimi, and Juma to a prophecy that hums through Nairobi's roots. The road to Kirinyaga calls, but the hyena's curse stalks their every step. The mountain looms, its secrets sharp as claws, and the daughters are waiting. The matatu rattled along the Thika superhighway, its seats creaking under Kamau, Kimi and Juma as dawn painted the sky in streaks of gold and grey. The heartstone sat heavy in Kamau's pocket, its glow hidden but warm, a constant reminder of Wanjiku's voice and Nigeri's promise. The routes lead north. Kimi stared out the window, her bandaged arms stiff, her spiral mark catching the light. Juma sprawled across 2 seats, nursed his bandaged leg. His phone finally dead after he'd tried to document the vibe one too many times. "Yo, we're really doing this," Juma said, his voice a mix of awe and dread. "Heading to Mount Kenya to find ghost girls. My grandma's gonna lose it when I tell her. If we don't die first." Kimi shot him a look. "We're not dying, and stop calling them ghost girls. They're something else." She rubbed her wrist, where Jerry's mark glowed faintly. "I still don't get why I'm one of them. I'm not exactly healer material." Kamau glanced at her, the chant in his head steady now. "The 9 are 1. The mountain calls. You saved me at the river," he said quietly. "And Juma at the house. That's not nothing." Kimi's cheeks flushed, but she looked away, muttering, "Whatever, rich kid." The matatu dropped them off at a dusty junction near Nanyuki, the air cooler here, sharp with the scent of pine and earth. Mount Kenya, Kirinyaga, loomed in the distance, its peaks cloaked in mist, just like in Kamau's dreams. The heartstone pulsed, and the chant grew louder, urging them forward. They ditched their phones to avoid being tracked. Kimi's dad and Senator Mwangi had eyes everywhere, but the absence of tech made the world feel raw, alive, like the land itself was breathing with them. Kimi led the way. Her flashlight swapped for a map from her dad's files, marked with the resort's planned site. "It's a few kilometers through the forest," she said, her voice steady despite the tension in her shoulders. "The elders mentioned a sacred grove near a Mugumo tree older than the one in Gigiri. That's where we're headed." Juma limped along, using a stick as a crutch. "A sacred grove? Sounds like a trap. Bet the hyena's waiting with a welcome party." Kamau's hand tightened around the stone. "It's not a trap. It's where the daughters are. I can feel it." The chant was a melody now, woven with names. Wanjiku, Njeri, Wambui. 3 of the 9, but the others were out there, their voices faint but growing stronger. The forest closed around them, the trees tall and silent, their leaves whispering in a wind that wasn't there. The path narrowed, roots twisting underfoot, and the air grew heavy, like the mountain was watching. Kamau's mark burned, and he saw Kimi wince, her own mark glowing brighter. Juma's was fainter, but he kept glancing at it, muttering about ancestral glow-ups. They reached the grove at midday, a clearing where a massive Mugumo tree stood, its roots sprawling like veins across the earth. Its trunk was etched with spirals, glowing faintly, just like the one in Gigiri. The heartstone flared in Kamau's pocket, and the chant surged. "The daughters are here. The heart will bind asterisk." "This is it," Kamau said, his voice barely a whisper. He stepped forward, the stone in his hand now, its light casting shadows across the grove. Kimi and Juma flanked him, their marks glowing in sync. Then the air shifted, cold and sharp. A figure appeared, not Wanjiku or Njeri, but another girl, her form shimmering like heat over asphalt. Her eyes were dark, her presence heavy with sorrow. "Wamoi," she said, her voice a low hum in the chant. "I am the third, the keeper of memory." She looked at Kamau, her gaze piercing. "You carry the traitor's blood, guardian. But you also carry her hope dot. Kamau's heart stuttered. Who's the traitor? What did they do? Wamboi's form flickered. The ninth broke the covenant. Her love was her betrayal. The guardian fell, and the hyena rose. She pointed to the tree, where a root pulsed with light. The memory lives there. Touch it asterisk. Kimi grabbed Kamau's arm before he could move. Wait, every time you touch something, we get attacked. We need a plan. Juma nodded, gripping his stick. Yeah, I'm not ready for round 3 with that hyena. My leg's still mad. But Kamau couldn't wait. The stone burned, Wamboe's voice pulling him forward. He knelt by the root, his mark flaring as he touched it. The world spun, and he saw it, a vision, clear and sharp. A girl, Wanjiku, standing in this grove centuries ago, her hands linked with 8 others. A man, a guardian, stood beside her, his eyes full of love. But then, a betrayal. A deal with outsiders, a sacred tree cut, a promise broken. The guardian was cursed, his form twisting into a hyena, his rage binding him to the land. Wanjiku's scream echoed as the vision faded, leaving Kamau gasping. She loved him, Kamau said, his voice hoarse. Wanjiku loved the guardian. That's why she broke the covenant. To save him. Kimi's eyes widened. And the hyena? It's him. The guardian. Before Kamau could answer, the grove trembled, and the hyena's laugh tore through the air. It emerged from the shadows, its form massive now, claws gleaming like obsidian. The heart is mine, it snarled, eyes locked on the stone in Kamau's hand. The traitor's blood will not redeem her. Kimi stepped forward, her mark blazing. You're not getting it, she said, her voice steady, despite the fear in her eyes. She grabbed Kamau's hand, their marks glowing together, and Juma joined them, his own mark flaring. Team prophecy, Juma said, his grin shaky but real. Let's do this. The stone's light exploded, and Wamboi's voice rang out. The memory binds you. Call her name. Kamau shouted, Wamboi! And the hyena roared, its form fracturing but not breaking. It lunged, claws aimed at Kimi, but she ducked, pulling Kamau with her. Juma swung his stick, hitting nothing but air, but the stone's light held the beast at bay. We need the others, Kamau yelled, the chant roaring in his head. Wamboi, Njeri, Wanjiku. Find them. The hyena retreated, its eyes promising vengeance, and the grove went silent. Kimi was breathing hard, her hand still in Kamau's. That was too close, she said, her voice shaking. But we're not done, are we? Kamau shook his head, the stone pulsing. Number Wamboi said the memory lives here. There's more to find. Juma groaned, leaning on his stick. Great, more cursed trees. But I'm in. Gotta get that ancestral clout. The mountain loomed above, its shadow heavy. The chant whispered, 6 remain. The heart will lead asterisk. Wamboi's memory has revealed a truth. Wanjiku's love broke the covenant, and the hyena was born from betrayal. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are marked by the 9, but the curse is stronger than ever. The grove holds secrets, and Kirinyaga's roots run deep. Can they find the remaining daughters before the hyena claims the heart and their lives? Chapter 10. The Keeper's Price. The grove has spoken, and Wamboi's memory burns in Kamau's mind. A love that broke the land, a guardian cursed to roam as a hyena. The heartstone binds Kamau, Kimi, and Juma to the 9 daughters, but the mountain's shadow grows darker. Kirinyaga demands a price, and the hyena's claws are closer than ever. The sacred grove was still, but the air thrummed with a tension that made Kamau's skin crawl. The massive Mugumo tree loomed over them, its glowing spirals faint but alive, like veins pulsing with the land's heartbeat. The heartstone in Kamau's pocket burned hotter now, its light seeping through his fingers as he clutched it. Kimi stood close, her bandaged arm trembling slightly, her spiral mark glowing in sync with his. Juma leaned on his stick, his own mark flickering, his usual humour replaced by a wary silence. "We can't stay here," Kimi said, her voice low but urgent. "That thing's coming back. I can feel it." She scanned the grove, her eyes sharp despite the exhaustion etched into her face. Kamau nodded, the chant in his head relentless. 6 remain, the heart will lead. Wambui's words echoed. The memory lives here, and he knew the grove held more than visions. The Mugumo's roots stretched deep, hiding something the daughters wanted them to find. "We need to dig again," he said, kneeling by the glowing root Wambui had shown them. "There's something else here." Juma groaned, easing himself to the ground. "More digging? My leg's already screaming, and I'm pretty sure we're on, like, cursed soil. But fine. Team prophecy, right?" He managed a weak grin, but his eyes kept darting to the shadows. Kimi crouched beside Kamau, her hands steady, despite the blood seeping through her bandage. "If we find another creepy box, I'm not touching it. You're the guardian, Kamau. This is your show." Kamau's chest tightened at the word guardian. It felt too big, too heavy, like a title he hadn't earned. But the stone's warmth urged him on, and he clawed at the earth, the dirt cool and damp under his fingers. Kimi joined him, her movements sharp and efficient, while Juma kept watch, muttering about hyena radar under his breath. The root was thicker here, its spirals glowing brighter as they dug. Kamau's mark burned, and the chant shifted. Warimu, the 4th, the keeper of the flame. His hands hit something hard, a small carved tablet, its surface etched with the same spirals as the heartstone. He pulled it free, and the air shimmered. A girl appeared, her form flickering like a candle in the wind. Her eyes glowed with a soft, steady fire, and her presence was warm, unyielding. "Warimu," she said, her voice a crackle of embers in the chant. "I guard the flame of the land. You carry it now." She looked at Kimi, whose mark flared brighter. "Her strength is yours, healer." Kimi froze, her hands still caked with dirt. "Me again? What is it with these daughters picking me?" Wairamu's gaze shifted to Juma. The 8th carries joy, but also truth. Juma's mark glowed, and he flinched like he'd been stung. Then she turned to Kamau, her eyes piercing. "Guardian, the flame demands a price. The traitor's blood must answer." Kamau's throat tightened. "What price? What did Wanjiku do?" Wairamu's form flickered, her voice heavy. She loved beyond the covenant. The guardian swore to protect the land, but he chose her. The Mugumo fell, and his curse was born. She pointed to the tablet. "The flame lives there. Speak my name asterisk." Before Kamau could respond, the grove shook, and the hyena's laugh tore through the air, sharp and vicious. It emerged from the trees, its form massive, more beast than shadow now, its eyes blazing with rage. "The flame is mine!" it snarled, claws digging into the earth. "You will not steal her." Kimi grabbed the tablet, shoving it into Kamau's hands. "Say it, now." Kamau's mark burned as he clutched the tablet, its spirals warm under his fingers. "Wairimu!" he shouted, and the stone in his pocket flared, light exploding across the grove. The hyena roared, its form fracturing, but it lunged, claws slashing toward Juma. Juma dove, his injured leg buckling, and Kimi yanked him back, her own mark blazing. "Not today!" she yelled, throwing a handful of dirt at the beast. It snarled, recoiling, but its eyes stayed on Kamau, promising blood. The light from the stone and tablet pulsed together, and Wairamu's voice rang out. "The flame is your shield. Hold it." The hyena screamed, its form dissolving into smoke, but its laughter lingered, a vow of return. Kamau collapsed, the tablet heavy in his hands. Kimi was breathing hard, her bandage soaked with fresh blood. Juma lay on the ground, panting, his stick clutched like a lifeline. "We gotta stop meeting like this," he gasped. "My heart can't take it." Kimi glared at him, but her lips twitched. "You're fine. Stop whining." She turned to Kamau, her eyes fierce. "What's the price, Kamau? Wairamu said the traitor's blood has to answer. That's you, isn't it?" Kamau's stomach churned. The hyena's words, "traitor's blood," echoed in his mind, tangled with Wanjiku's love and the Guardian's fall. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice raw. "But Wanjiku, she broke the covenant for love. Maybe I'm supposed to fix it. Or pay for it." Kimi's hand brushed his, brief but steadying. "You're not paying anything alone. We're marked, remember? Team prophecy." Juma sat up, wincing. "Yeah, what she said. Also, I'm totally the 8th daughter. Joy and truth? That's my brand." He grinned, but his eyes were serious. "So, what's this flame thing? Another magic rock?" Kamau looked at the tablet, its spirals glowing faintly. "It's part of the heart, Wairamu's power. The daughters are giving us what we need to stop the curse." He hesitated, the chant shifting. 5 remain. The mountain holds them. "We need to keep going. Up Kiranyaga. The others are there." Kimi nodded, her jaw set. "My dad's resort site is higher up. If he's digging there, he's probably messing with more sacred stuff. We'll find answers. And the daughters." Juma groaned, struggling to his feet. "A hike? With a busted leg? Y'all owe me samosas when this is over." The grove was quiet now, but the Mugumo's roots pulsed, and the heartstone hummed. Kamau felt the mountain's pull, its shadow heavy with secrets. Warimu's voice lingered. "The flame demands a price." He didn't know what it meant, but he knew one thing. The hyena wasn't done, and neither were they. The flame of Wairamu burns in their hands, but the hyena's curse is relentless. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are marked by the daughters, their fates tied to a love that broke the land. Kiranyaga calls, its peaks hiding the remaining 5. What price will the flame demand? And can they pay it before the hyena claims the heart? Chapter 11. The Echo of the 5th. The flame of Wairamu burns in the tablet, joining the heartstone's pulse as Kamau, Kimi, and Juma climb Kiranyaga's slopes. The hyena's curse stalks them, its rage a shadow over the mountain. The daughters' voices grow louder, but the price of their power looms, and the land's judgment is near. The air on Mount Kenya was thin and sharp, slicing through Kamau's lungs as he led Kimi and Juma up a rocky trail. The forest had given way to jagged slopes, the Mugumo trees replaced by sparse, windswept shrubs. The heartstone in his pocket pulsed with heat, its glow seeping through his jacket, while the carved tablet, wrapped in Kimi's torn hoodie, weighed heavy in Juma's backpack. The chant in Kamau's head was relentless now. 5 remain. The echo calls. His mark burned, a spiral of fire in his palm, and he could see Kimi and Juma's marks glowing faintly through their sleeves. Kimi trudged beside him, her bandaged arms stiff, but her steps steady. She hadn't complained once, though her face was pale, the gash from the hyena's claws clearly worse than she let on. Juma limped behind, his stick, now, a makeshift cane, his usual chatter subdued by the mountain's weight. This place feels old. he said, his voice low. Like ancestors old. I keep hearing my grandma's lullabies in the wind. Kimi glanced back, her eyes sharp. That's not the wind, Juma. It's the mountain. I hear it too. She rubbed her wrist where Njeri's mark pulsed. It's like the river, but heavier, like it's waiting for us. Kamau nodded, the chant shifting. Wambui, Njeri, Wairimu. Wangari calls. The name hit him like a spark, and he stopped, his breath catching. Wangari, he said aloud. The fifth daughter. She's here. Juma froze, gripping his stick. Another one? Yo, we're collecting daughters like Pokemon cards. What's this one do? Shoot lasers. Kimi rolled her eyes but didn't smile. Focus, Juma. Kamau, where's she at? This mountain's huge and we're running out of time. My dad's crew could show up any minute. She was right. The resort site was close, too close. They'd seen signs of construction lower down. Tire tracks, felled trees, and a chain-link fence with Kimi's dad's company logo. The land was being torn apart, and Kamau could feel it, a wrongness that made the stone burn hotter. Up there, he said, pointing to a ridge where a lone Mugumo tree stood, its roots clawing into the rock. Its spirals glowed faintly, even in daylight calling them. The climb was brutal, the trail steep and littered with loose stones. Juma's limp slowed them, but he waved off Kimi's offer to help. I'm good, he grunted, though his face said otherwise. Just don't ask me to fight another hyena. My leg's on strike. They reached the ridge as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the Mugumo. Its roots pulsed with light, and the chant grew louder. Wangari, the fifth, the echo of the earth. Kamau's mark burned, and he felt Kimi and Juma's marks flare in response. The heartstone glowed brighter, its light syncing with the tablet in Juma's bag. She's here, Kamau said, stepping toward the tree. Kimi grabbed his arm, her grip tight. No touching until we know it's safe, she said, her voice firm, but her eyes worried. You're not passing out on us again. Juma nodded, leaning on his stick. Yeah, bruh, let's not summon the hyena before we're ready. I'm out of rocks. Kamau hesitated, but the stone's heat was insistent, Wairimu's flame urging him forward. He knelt by the tree, the tablet in one hand, the heart stone in the other. Wangari, he whispered, and the air shimmered. A girl appeared, her form solid but edged with light, like she was woven from the mountain itself. Her eyes were deep, like pools of earth, and her presence was steady, unyielding. Wangari, she said, her voice an echo in the chant. I am the fifth, the keeper of the earth's voice. She looked at Juma, whose mark flared bright. You carry my truth, joy bearer. Juma stumbled back, his stick clattering. Me! Again! Yo! I'm just the sidekick. Wangari's gaze shifted to Kimi. Healer, your strength holds the flame. Kimi's mark glowed, and she winced, clutching her bandaged arm. Then Wangari turned to Kamau, her eyes heavy. Guardian, the earth demands truth. The traitor's blood must speak. Kamau's heart pounded. What truth? What do I have to do? Wangari pointed to the tree's roots, where a crack in the rock glowed with the same spirals as the stone. The earth keeps her secrets. Speak my name, and listen. Kamau glanced at Kimi and Juma, who nodded, their marks glowing in unison. Wangari, he said, louder this time, and the heartstone flared, its light merging with the tablet's glow. The crack in the rock widened, revealing a small, etched stone, pulsing like a heartbeat. Kamau reached for it, but the ground shook, and the hyena's laugh ripped through the air. It emerged from the shadows, its form massive, fur matted with earth and blood. Its eyes burned, not with rage, but with grief. The earth is mine. It snarled, claws scraping the rock. The traitor's blood will not silence me. Kimi stepped forward, her mark blazing. You're not getting him, she said, her voice fierce despite the blood soaking her bandage. She grabbed a jagged rock, ready to fight. Juma, pale but standing, raised his stick, his mark glowing brighter than ever. Kamau clutched the new stone, its warmth merging with the heart and tablet. Wangari, help us, he shouted, and the ridge exploded with light. The hyena roared, its form fracturing, but it lunged, claws grazing Kamau's shoulder. Pain seared through him, but Kimi was there, pulling him back, her hands steady despite her own wounds. Team Prophecy! Juma yelled, swinging his stick wildly. The hyena recoiled, its eyes locked on the stones in Kamau's hands. You cannot hold them all. It hissed, then dissolved into smoke, its laughter fading into the wind. Kamau collapsed, blood seeping through his jacket. Kimi knelt beside him, her hands shaking as she pressed her torn sleeve against his wound. You're okay, she said, her voice breaking. You have to be. Juma dropped to his knees, panting. We're collecting magic rocks like it's a quest, but I'm not built for this. Also, my leg's officially retired. Kamau managed a weak smile, the stones heavy in his hands. Wangari's voice lingered. The Earth's voice is yours. 4 remain. He looked at Kimi, her eyes fierce with worry, and Juma, his grin shaky, but real. We're close, he said. The daughters are guiding us. We just need to find the others. Kimi nodded, her hand lingering on his arm. Then we keep climbing. But if you get clawed again, I'm tying you to a tree. The mountain loomed above, its peaks sharp against the fading light. The chant whispered, 4 remain, the earth will judge. Wangari's voices joined the chorus, and the earth's secrets are rising. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma carry the heart, the flame, and now the echo. But the hyena's curse grows stronger with every step. 4 daughters remain, hidden in Kirinyaga's peaks. What truth does the earth demand, and can they bear its weight before the traitor's blood is claimed? Chapter 12. The Weaver's Thread. The Heartstone, the Flame Tablet, and the Echo Stone pulse with the voices of Wanjiku and Jerry, Waramu and Wangari, binding Kamau, Kimi, and Juma to a prophecy that shakes Kirinyaga's roots. The hyena's claws have drawn blood, and its grief fuels a curse that won't rest. 4 daughters remain, and the mountain's peak holds a truth that could unravel everything. Kamau's shoulder burned where the hyena's claws had grazed him, the pain a sharp counterpoint to the Heartstone's warmth in his pocket. The Echo Stone, newly claimed, hummed in his other hand, its spirals glowing faintly as he, Kimi, and Juma pushed higher up Mount Kenya's slopes. The air was thin, cold, and heavy with the scent of wet rock and pine. The chant in Kamau's head was a chorus now, layered with voices. 4 remain, the thread will guide. His mark pulsed, a spiral of fire in his palm, mirrored by the glowing marks on Kimi's wrist and Juma's arm. Kimi led the way, her bandaged arms stiff, but her pace unrelenting. Her face was set, but Kamau caught the way her eyes flicked to him, checking his wound, her worry hidden behind a scowl. Juma trailed behind, his limp worse now, his stick scraping the rocky path. He'd been quiet since the grove, his usual jokes replaced by a tense focus, though he still clutched the carved box with the flame tablet like it was his lifeline. Yo, this mountain's trying to kill us, Juma said, pausing to catch his breath. My leg's done, my phone's dead, and I'm pretty sure we're walking into another hyena trap. Anyone else feeling that vibe? Kimi didn't look back. We're close, Juma. Stop whining. But her voice was softer than usual, and she slowed, letting him catch up. The map says there's a cave up ahead, near the resort site. If the daughters are anywhere, it's there. Kamau nodded, the echo stone's warmth spreading through him. Wangari's voice lingered. The earth's voice is yours. But another name was rising in the chant, faint but growing stronger. Wachaki, the sixth, the weaver of fates. He didn't know what it meant, but the mountain's pull was undeniable, dragging them toward its peaks. The trail opened into a rocky plateau where the resort's construction scars were stark. Uprooted trees, piles of dirt, and a half-built fence with Kimi's dad's company logo. Beyond it, a cave mouth yawned, its edges framed by gnarled roots that glowed faintly, like the Mugumo trees below. The heartstone flared, and the chant surged. Waseki calls. The thread binds asterisk. That's it, Kamau said, his voice steady despite the pain in his shoulder. She's in there. Kimi grabbed his arm, her mark glowing. No rushing in. We do this together, or not at all. Her eyes held his, fierce but warm, and for a moment the mountain's weight felt lighter. Juma leaned on his stick, eyeing the cave. Cool. A haunted cave. Exactly what my leg needed. If I die, I want Team Prophecy legend on my tombstone. They stepped into the cave, the air cold and damp, the walls etched with spirals that pulsed in time with their marks. The heartstone, echo stone, and flame tablet glowed brighter, casting light across the rocky floor. Kamau's mark burned, and the chant grew louder, Wachaki's name weaving through it like a thread. A figure appeared, her form shimmering like woven light, her eyes sharp and knowing. Watsake, she said, her voice a soft hum in the chant. I am the sixth, the weaver of fates. She looked at Kimi, whose mark flared. Healer, your strength binds the thread. Then to Juma. Joybearer, your truth holds it fast. Finally, to Kamau. Guardian, your blood weaves the pattern, but the thread is frayed. Kamau's throat tightened. Frayed how? What do we need to do? Wachaki's gaze was heavy. The traitor's love broke the weave. Wanjiku's heart chose the guardian, and the land paid the price. The thread must be mended. She pointed to a crack in the cave wall where a small woven cord glowed, its fibers pulsing with light. Take it. Speak my name. Kamau reached for the cord, but Kimi grabbed his wrist. Wait. Every time we grab something, that hyena shows up. We need a plan. Juma nodded, gripping his stick. Yeah, I'm not ready for another claw session. My leg's already a meme. But the chant was too strong. Wachaki's voice, pulling Kamau forward. He touched the cord, and the cave spun, a vision flooding his mind. Wanjiku and the Guardian, their hands clasped under a Mugumo tree. Their love a light that burned too bright. Outsiders came, men with axes, promises of wealth, and the Guardian faltered, his oath broken. The tree fell, and his form twisted, becoming the hyena, his grief a curse that bound the land. Wanjiku's scream echoed as the vision faded, leaving Kamau gasping. She didn't mean to break it, he said, clutching the cord. She loved him. He chose her over the land. Kimi's eyes softened. And now we're cleaning up their mess. Before Juma could add a quip, the cave shook, and the hyena's laugh tore through the air, sharp as broken glass. It emerged from the shadows, its form solid, fur matted with earth and blood. The thread is mine, it snarled, eyes blazing. The traitor's blood will not mend it. Kimi stepped forward, her mark glowing like a beacon. You're not taking him, she said, her voice fierce. She grabbed a loose rock, her bandaged arm trembling but steady. Juma raised his stick, his mark flaring, and for once, he didn't joke. Kamau clutched the cord, the heartstone, echo stone, and flame tablet pulsing together. "Wachiki!" he shouted, and the cave erupted in light. The hyena roared, its form fracturing, but it lunged, claws slashing toward Kimi. Kamau dove in front, the cord burning in his hand as the claws grazed his side, pain searing through him. Kimi caught him as he stumbled, her eyes wide with fear. "Kamau, stay with me." She pressed her hand to his side, blood seeping through her fingers, her mark glowing brighter. Juma swung his stick, hitting the hyena's flank, and it recoiled, its eyes locked on the cord. "You cannot mend what was broken." It hissed, then dissolved into smoke, its laughter echoing in the cave. The light faded, and Kamau sank to his knees, the cord still in his hand. Kimi's hands were steady, pressing against his wound, her voice shaking, but fierce. "You're not allowed to die, rich kid. Not after all this." Juma dropped beside them, panting. "Yeah, what she said. Also, I'm out of heroic moves." "That was my last one." Kamau managed a weak smile, the cord's warmth merging with the stone's pulse. Wachaki's voice lingered. "The thread binds you. 3 remain." He looked at Kimi, her face close, her eyes fierce with something more than worry. "We're almost there," he said. 3 more daughters. Then we end this." Kimi nodded, her hand lingering on his. Together. The cave was silent, but the mountain hummed, its roots alive with secrets. The chant whispered, 3 remain. The weave must hold asterisk. Wachaki's thread binds the prophecy tighter, but the hyena's curse cuts deeper. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma carry the heart, the flame, the echo, and now the thread. But their wounds are mounting, and the mountain's truth is heavy. 3 daughters remain, hidden in Kiranyaga's peaks. Can they mend the weave before the traitor's blood unravels it all? Chapter 13. The Keeper of the Song. The thread of Wachaki weaves Kamau, Kimi, and Juma into the prophecy's pattern, joining the heart, flame, and echo in their hands. Kiranyaga's peaks loom, heavy with the weight of 3 remaining daughters. The hyena's curse grows sharper, its grief a blade that cuts through time. The mountain sings, and its song demands truth. Kamau's side throbbed where the hyena's claws had struck, the pain pulsing in time with the heartstone in his pocket. The woven cord, Wachaki's gift, was wrapped around his wrist, its faint glow merging with the spiral mark on his palm. Kimi walked beside him, her bandaged arms stiff, her eyes scanning the rocky path up Mount Kenya. Blood seeped through the torn sleeve she'd used to bind Kamau's wound, but she hadn't faltered, her mark glowing like a beacon. Juma limped behind, the carved box with the flame tablet slung over his shoulder, his stick scraping the ground. His own mark flickered, and for once he was quiet, the mountain's weight silencing his usual chatter. The air was colder now, the trail steeper, winding through jagged rocks and sparse shrubs. Kiranyaga's peaks pierced the clouds, their mist curling like spirits in Kamau's dreams. The chant in his head was a chorus of voices: Wanjiku, Njeri, Wairimu, Wacheke, blending into a new name. Wanjohi, the 7th, the keeper of the song. The heartstone, echo stone, and flame tablet pulsed in sync, their light guiding them toward a rocky outcrop, where a lone Mugumo tree clung to the cliff, its roots glowing with spirals. "That's it," Kamau said, his voice hoarse. His wound burned, but the chant urged him forward. "Wanjohi's there." Kimi stopped, her breath visible in the cold air. Another tree, another daughter, another fight. She glanced at Kamau, her eyes fierce but worried. You're bleeding again. We need to be smart about this. Juma leaned on his stick, his face pale. Smart? We're climbing a cursed mountain with magic rocks and a demon hyena on our tail. Smart left the chat a while ago. He managed a weak grin. But I'm still Team Prophecy. Let's get this daughter and bounce. Kamau nodded, the cord on his wrist warm against his skin. The Mugumo's spirals glowed brighter as they approached, its roots twisting into the rock like veins. The chant grew louder. Wanjohi calls. The song binds. He felt Kimi and Juma's marks flare in response, their glows syncing with his own. They reached the tree, its presence heavy, like the mountain itself was breathing through it. Kamau's mark burned, and he knelt by the roots, the stones and cord pulsing in his hands. Wanjohi, he whispered, and the air shimmered. A girl appeared, her form woven from light and sound, her eyes bright with melody. Wanjohi, she said, her voice a song that echoed in the chant. I am the seventh, the keeper of the song. She looked at Juma, whose mark flared. Joy-bearer, your truth carries my melody. Then, to Kimi, healer, your strength sings with it. Finally, to Kamau, guardian, your blood holds the rhythm, but the song demands sacrifice. Kamau's heart clenched. Sacrifice? What kind? Wanjohi's gaze was steady, her voice a haunting tune. The traitor's love broke the song. Wanjiku's heart chose the guardian, and the land sang of loss. The song must be whole again. She pointed to a crevice in the rock where a small, carved flute glowed, its surface etched with spirals. Take it. Speak my name. Asterisk. Kimi grabbed Kamau's arm, her grip tight. Number. Not until we know what sacrifice means. We're not losing anyone. Her voice shook, her eyes locked on his, and Kamau felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the stones. Juma nodded, gripping his stick. Yeah, I'm with Kimi. No sacrificial vibes. I'm already down a leg and half my chill. But the chant was too strong. Wanjohi's song pulling Kamau forward. He reached for the flute, his mark blazing, and the vision came. Wanjiku and the guardian under a Mugumo tree, their love a melody that shook the earth. Outsiders came, their promises poison, and the guardian wavered, his oath shattered. The tree fell, and Wanjiku's song turned to a scream as the hyena was born, its grief a discord that bound the land. The vision faded, leaving Kamau gasping, the flute warm in his hand. She sang for him, Kamau said, his voice raw. Wanjiku's song was her love. When it broke, so did the land. Kimi's eyes softened, but before she could speak, the ground trembled, and the hyena's laugh sliced through the air, cold and vicious. It emerged from the mist, its form solid, claws gleaming like knives. The song is mine. It snarled, eyes blazing with grief and rage. The traitor's blood will silence it. Kimi stepped forward, her mark glowing like fire. You're not touching him, she said, her voice steady despite the blood on her arm. She grabbed a rock, her stance defiant. Juma raised his stick, his mark flaring, his grin gone, but his resolve firm. Kamau clutched the flute, the heartstone, echo stone, and flame tablet pulsing together. Wanjohi, he shouted, and the flute sang, a note that shook the air. Light exploded, the hyena roaring as its form fractured, but it lunged, claws slashing toward Kimi. Kamau dove in front, the flute song surging through him. The claws grazed his chest, pain searing, but Kimi caught him, her hands pressing against the wound, her mark blazing. Stay with me, Kamau, she whispered, her voice breaking. Juma swung his stick, hitting the hyena's flank, and it recoiled, its eyes locked on the flute. "You cannot sing her song." It hissed, then dissolved into smoke, its laughter echoing in the mist. Kamau sank to his knees, the flute still singing faintly in his hand. Kimi's hands were warm against his chest, her eyes fierce with fear and something deeper. "You're not allowed to die," she said, her voice shaking. "Not now." Juma dropped beside them, panting. "Bruh, we gotta stop getting clawed. Also, that flute's dope, but I'm out of heroic energy." Kamau managed a weak smile, the flute's warmth merging with the stone's pulse. Wanjohi's voice lingered. "The song binds you. 2 remain." He looked at Kimi, her face close, her hand steady despite the blood. "We're almost there," he said. 2 more daughters. Then we end this." Kimi nodded, her hand lingering on his. Together. The mountain loomed, its peaks sharp against the mist. The chant whispered, 2 remain. The song must hold asterisk. Wanjohi's song joins the heart, flame, echo, and thread, but the hyena's curse cuts deeper with every step. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are bound by the daughter's power, but the sacrifice looms, and the mountain's truth is unrelenting. 2 daughters remain, hidden in Kiranyaga's peaks. Can they sing the song whole before the traitor's blood silences it forever? Chapter 14. The Keeper of the Veil. Wanjohi's song weaves through the heart, flame, echo, and thread, binding Kamau, Kimi, and Juma to a prophecy that shakes Kiranyaga's roots. The hyena's curse grows heavier, its grief a blade that cuts through time. 2 daughters remain, and the mountain's peak holds a truth that could mend or break the land forever. Kamau's chest burned where the hyena's claws had struck, the pain pulsing in time with the heartstone in his pocket. The woven cord wrapped his wrist, the flute tucked into his belt, the echo stone and flame tablet, heavy in Juma's backpack. The air on Mount Kenya was thin and biting, the mist curling around them like a living thing as they climbed higher, toward the peak where the chant called. 2 remain. The veil will guide. Kamau's spiral mark glowed, mirrored by Kimi's and Juma's, their light a fragile shield against the mountain's weight. Kimi walked beside him, her bandaged arms stiff, blood seeping through the fabric. Her eyes were fierce, but exhaustion shadowed her face, and she kept close, her shoulder brushing his as if to anchor them both. Juma limped behind, his stick scraping the rocky path, his mark flickering with every step. The silence between them was heavy, broken only by the wind and the chant in Kamau's head, now laced with a new name, Wambura the 8th, the keeper of the veil... "We're almost at the top," Kimi said, her voice low, scanning the jagged rocks ahead. The map showed a shrine up here, older than the resort site. If the daughters are anywhere, it's there. Juma groaned, adjusting the backpack. "A shrine? Great. More cursed vibes, my legs begging for a vacation, and I'm out of heroic one-liners." He glanced at Kamau, his grin shaky. "You okay, chosen one? You're bleeding again." Kamau touched his chest, where blood soaked through his jacket. "I'm fine," he lied, the pain sharp but the chant stronger, urging him forward. "Wambura's close. I can feel her." Kimi's eyes narrowed. "No more rushing in. We're all marked, Kamau. This isn't just your fight." Her hand brushed his, brief but steady, and Kamau felt a warmth that cut through the cold. The trail ended at a rocky plateau, where a small shrine stood, carved into the mountain's face. Its entrance was framed by Mugumo roots, their spirals glowing like the heartstone. The chant surged. "Wambura calls. The veil binds." Kamau's mark burned, and he saw Kimi and Juma's marks flare in response, their glows syncing with the stones and cord. "This is it," Kamau said, stepping toward the shrine. The air was heavy, like the mountain was holding its breath. Kimi and Juma followed, their steps cautious, their marks casting light across the rock. Inside, the shrine was a narrow chamber, its walls etched with spirals and Kikuyu script. A small altar stood at the center, holding a delicate, shimmering cloth that glowed with the same light as the Mugumo's roots. Kamau's heart pounded, the chant deafening. Wambura, the eighth, the keeper of the veil. A figure appeared, her form soft and translucent, like mist over water. Her eyes were deep, veiled in sorrow and strength. Wambura, she said, her voice a whisper in the chant. I am the eighth, the keeper of the veil. She looked at Kimi, whose mark flared. Healer, your strength lifts the veil. Then to Juma. Joy-bearer, your truth sees through it. Finally, to Kamau. Guardian, your blood parts the veil, but the price is heavy. Kamau's throat tightened. What price? We've got the heart, the flame, the echo, the thread, the song. What more do we need? Wambura's gaze was steady. The veil hides the final truth. Wanjiku's love broke the covenant, and the guardian's oath bound the curse. To lift it, the traitor's blood must choose. She pointed to the cloth on the altar. Take it. Speak my name. Kimi grabbed Kamau's arm, her grip fierce. Number not until we know what choose means. We're not losing you. Her voice shook, her eyes locked on his, and Kamau saw fear there, and something deeper, unspoken. Juma nodded, gripping his stick. Yeah, bruh, no more solo hero stuff. My leg's trashed, but I'm not letting you play martyr. But the chant was too strong, Wambura's voice pulling Kamau forward. He reached for the cloth, his mark blazing, and a vision hit him. Wanjiku and the Guardian, their love a light that burned the land. The Guardian's choice. Her over the covenant, shattered the Mugumo, his oath twisting into the hyena's curse. Wanjiku's tears fell as the veil closed, hiding the truth from the daughters. The vision faded, leaving Kamau gasping, the cloth warm in his hand. She hid the truth, Kamau said, his voice raw. Wanjiku veiled it to protect him, but it cursed them both. Kimi's eyes softened, but before she could speak, the shrine shook, and the hyena's laugh tore through the air, cold and final. It emerged from the shadows, its form solid, fur matted with blood and earth. The veil is mine, it snarled, eyes blazing. The traitor's blood will not lift it. Kimi stepped forward, her mark glowing like a star. You're not taking him, she said, her voice fierce. She grabbed a loose stone, her bandaged arm trembling but steady. Juma raised his stick, his mark flaring, his face set, despite the pain in his leg. Kamau clutched the cloth, the heart stone, echo stone, flame tablet, and flute pulsing together. Wambura! He shouted, and the cloth flared, light exploding across the shrine. The hyena roared, its form fracturing. But it lunged, claws slashing toward Juma. Kimi dove in front, the claws grazing her shoulder, and she cried out, falling to her knees. Kamau caught her, the cloth's light surging through him. Kimi! He yelled, pressing the cloth to her wound, its glow merging with her mark. Juma swung his stick, hitting the hyena's flank, and it recoiled, its eyes locked on the cloth. You cannot hide her forever. It hissed, then dissolved into smoke, its laughter echoing in the shrine. Kamau held Kimi, her blood warm against his hands, her mark still glowing. You're okay, he whispered, his voice breaking. You have to be. Kimi managed a weak smile, her hand gripping his. Not dying yet, rich kid. Her voice was faint, but her eyes were fierce. Juma dropped beside them, panting. We gotta stop getting clawed. Also, that cloth's dope. But I'm out of fight juice. Kamau clutched the cloth, its warmth merging with the stone's pulse. Wambura's voice lingered. The veil binds you. One remains. He looked at Kimi, her face pale but defiant, and Juma, his grin shaky but real. "One more daughter," he said. "Then we end this." Kimi nodded, her hand still in his. Together. The mountain hummed, its peaks sharp against the mist. The chant whispered, "One remains. The veil must lift." Wambura's veil joins the heart, flame, echo, thread, and song, but the hyena's curse cuts deeper with every blow. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma are bound by the daughter's power, but Kimi's blood stains the shrine, and the final truth looms. One daughter remains, hidden in Kirinyaga's heart. Can they lift the veil before the traitor's blood breaks them all? Chapter 15. The Keeper of the Dawn. The veil of Wambura joins the heart, flame, echo, thread, and song, weaving Kamau, Kimi, and Juma into a prophecy that trembles on Kirinyaga's peak. The hyena's curse draws blood, its grief a shadow that clings to the land. One daughter remains, and the mountain's heart holds a truth that could heal or shatter everything. Kamau's hands shook as he pressed Wambura's cloth to Kimi's shoulder, her blood soaking through the shimmering fabric. The shrine's walls pulsed with the glow of Mugumo roots, their spirals mirroring the marks on his palm. Kimi's wrist and Juma's arm. The heartstone, echo stone, flame tablet, woven cord and flute burned in his pockets and Juma's backpack, their light a fragile shield against the hyena's lingering laughter. Kimi's breathing was shallow, but her eyes were fierce, locked on his. "I'm fine," she whispered, her voice weak but defiant. "Don't you dare look at me like I'm dying." "You're not," Kamau said, his throat tight. He couldn't lose her. Not now, not after everything. The chant in his head was a roar now, layered with the voices of Wanjiku, Njeri, Wairimu, Wachake, Wambura, and a final name rising like a tide. Wangui, the ninth, the Keeper of the Dawn. His mark burned, urging him toward the mountain's peak. Juma knelt beside them, his face pale, his leg trembling under the weight of his injury. "Yo, Kimi, you're a badass, but we gotta get you patched up for real." He glanced at Kamau, his usual grin gone. "And you, chosen one. Any more daughters showing up? 'Cause I'm running low on hero vibes." Kamau shook his head, the chant deafening. "One remains. The dawn will break." "Wangui," he said, the name heavy on his tongue. "She's the last. She's up there, at the peak." Kimi struggled to sit up, wincing as Kamau helped her. "Then we go," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "No stopping now." Her mark glowed brighter, sinking with the cloth's light, and Kamau felt a surge of warmth from her touch, like the mountain itself was binding them. Juma groaned, hauling himself up with his stick. "Peak? My leg's about to file for divorce." But fine. Team Prophecy doesn't quit. He adjusted the backpack, the flame tablet and echo stone clinking inside. "Let's just hope this Wangui's got, healing powers or something." The climb to the peak was grueling, the path a jagged scar of rock and ice. The air was thin, the mist thick, and Kirinyaga's presence was overwhelming, like the mountain was alive, its roots pulsing beneath their feet. Kamau's wound throbbed, Kimi's shoulder bled through the cloth, and Juma's limp slowed them, but their marks glowed stronger, guiding them to a small clearing where a final Mugumo tree stood, its trunk massive, its spirals blazing like fire. The chant surged. Wangui calls. The dawn binds. Kamau's heart pounded as he stepped forward. The heartstone, echo stone, flame tablet, woven cord, flute, and cloth pulsing in unison. "This is it," he said, his voice steady despite the pain. The last daughter. Kimi leaned against him, her breathing ragged. Together, she said, her hand finding his, their marks glowing as one. Juma nodded, gripping his stick, his mark flaring despite his exhaustion. Kamau knelt by the tree, the artifacts warm in his hands. Wangui, he whispered, and the air ignited. A girl appeared, her form radiant like the first light of dawn. Her eyes were bright, unyielding, and her presence was a promise of renewal. Wangui, she said, her voice a melody that completed the chant. I am the ninth, the keeper of the dawn. She looked at Kimi. Healer, your strength lights the way. Then to Juma. Joy-bearer, your truth breaks the dark. Finally, to Kamau. Guardian, your blood is the dawn's price. Choose asterisk. Kamau's chest tightened. Choose what? What's the price? Wangui's gaze was heavy. Wanjiku's love broke the covenant. The guardian's oath bound the curse. To break it, the traitor's blood must choose. Love or the land. She pointed to a crevice in the tree's roots, where a small, glowing orb pulsed. Its light, the colour of sunrise. Take it. Speak my name asterisk. Kimi's grip tightened on Kamau's hand. Number. Whatever this choice is, we're not losing you. Her voice shook, her eyes fierce with fear, and something deeper, unspoken. Juma stepped closer, his stick trembling. Yeah, bruh, no sacrificial nonsense. We're team prophecy. We do this together, or not at all. But the chant was relentless, Wangui's voice pulling Kamau forward. He reached for the orb, his mark blazing, and a vision hit him. Wanjiku and the Guardian, their love a fire that consumed the land. The Guardian's choice, her over the covenant, felled the Mugumo, his curse born in grief. Wanjiku's dawn was lost, her light veiled, and the hyena rose. The vision faded, leaving Kamau gasping, the orb warm in his hand. She chose him, Kamau said, his voice raw. Wanjiku gave up the dawn for love. That's why the curse lives. Kimi's eyes widened. And you? What are you choosing? Before Kamau could answer, the clearing shook, and the hyena's laugh tore through the air, sharp and final. It emerged from the mist, its form massive, fur matted with blood and earth, eyes blazing with centuries of grief. The dawn is mine. It snarled, claws gleaming. The traitor's blood will not rise. Kimi stepped forward, her mark glowing like fire. You're done, she said, her voice fierce despite the blood on her shoulder. She grabbed a rock, her stance defiant. Juma raised his stick, his mark flaring, his face set. Kamau clutched the orb, the heartstone, echo stone, flame tablet, woven cord, flute, and cloth pulsing as one. Wangi! He shouted, and the clearing erupted in light, the orb's glow merging with the artifacts. The hyena roared, its form fracturing, but it lunged, claws slashing toward Kimi. Kamau dove in front, the orb's light surging through him. The claws grazed his arm, pain searing, but Kimi caught him, her hands pressing against the wound, her mark blazing. Kamau! She yelled, her voice breaking. Don't you dare! Juma swung his stick, hitting the hyena's flank, and it recoiled. Its eyes locked on the orb. You cannot choose her! It hissed, then dissolved into smoke, its laughter echoing in the mist. Kamau sank to his knees, the orb still glowing in his hand. Kimi held him, her blood mixing with his, their marks pulsing together. You're okay, she whispered, her voice fierce. You have to be. Juma dropped beside them, panting. We gotta stop getting clawed. Also, that orb's dope. But I'm officially out of fight juice. Kamau clutched the orb, its warmth merging with the artifact's pulse. Wangui's voice lingered. The dawn binds you. The choice remains. He looked at Kimi, her face close, her eyes fierce with worry and something more. I choose you, he said, his voice steady. Both of you, and the land. Kimi's breath caught, her hand tightening in his. Together, she said. The mountain hummed, its peaks sharp against the dawn. The chant was silent now, but the orb pulsed. And Kamau knew, the choice wasn't over. The hyena would return, and the land's judgment waited. Wangui's dawn joins the heart, flame, echo, thread, song, and veil, but the hyena's curse is unrelenting. Kamau's choice binds him to Kimi, Juma, and the land, but the traitor's blood still carries a price. The daughters are complete, but the prophecy's end looms on Kirinyaga's peak. Can they break the curse before the hyena claims the dawn? Chapter 16. The Breaking of the Curse. The dawn orb joins the heart, flame, echo, thread, song, and veil, binding Kamau, Kimi, and Juma to the 9 daughters and a prophecy that trembles on Kirinyaga's peak. Kamau's choice, love, and the land, burns in his blood, but the hyena's curse is a shadow that refuses to fade. The daughters are complete, and the mountain demands its final truth. The dawn broke over Mount Kenya, its light spilling across the rocky clearing where Kamau, Kimi, and Juma stood, battered but unbroken. Kamau's arm throbbed where the hyena's claws had struck, blood seeping through the cloth Wambura had given them. The heartstone, echo stone, flame tablet, woven cord, flute, veil, and dawn orb pulsed in his hands, and Juma's backpack, their glows merging into a single, radiant light. Kimi leaned against him, her shoulder wound bleeding through her bandage, her mark glowing like fire. Juma, limping but defiant, gripped his stick, his mark flickering with the last of his strength. The Mugumo tree loomed before them, its spirals blazing, its roots sinking deep into Kirinyaga's heart. The chant was gone, replaced by a silence so heavy, it felt like the mountain was holding its breath. Kamau's mark burned, a spiral of fire in his palm, mirrored by Kimi's and Juma's. The daughters' voices, Wanjiku, Njeri, Wairimu, Wachaki, Wambura, Wanjohi, Wangui, whispered in his mind. The 9 are one. The choice is now ... We did it, Kamau said, his voice raw. All 9 daughters, we have their power. He held up the dawn orb, its light warm and steady, like the promise of a new day. Kimi's eyes were fierce, though her face was pale. Then why do I feel like we're still in trouble? She gripped his hand, her mark pulsing in sync with his, her warmth grounding him despite the pain. Juma leaned on his stick, his grin shaky. 'Cause we are, Kimi. That hyena's not done. I can feel it in my leg, and my leg's never wrong. He adjusted the backpack, the artifacts clinking inside. So, chosen one, what's the play? We got all the magic swag. How do we end this? Kamau looked at the Mugumo, its roots glowing like veins of light. Wangui's words echoed. The traitor's blood must choose. He'd chosen Kimi, Juma, and the land, but the hyena's grief, born of Wanjiku's love, and the guardian's betrayal, still bound the curse. We need to face it, he said. The hyena, the guardian, we have to break the curse here, at the heart of Kirinyaga. Kimi nodded, her jaw set. Together. Her hand tightened in his, and Kamau felt a spark, not just from their marks, but from something deeper, unspoken but alive. Juma groaned but stood straighter. Team prophecy, final boss time. Let's do this. But if I die, I want a statue. big one, with samosas. Kamau stepped toward the Mugumo, the artifacts pulsing as one. He placed the heartstone, echo stone, flame, tablet, woven cord, flute, veil, and dawn orb at the base of the tree, their light merging into a blinding glow. The roots flared, and the daughters' voices rose, not in a chant, but a song, layered and powerful. The 9 are one, the land is whole dot. The air shook, and the hyena's laugh tore through the clearing, cold and final. It emerged from the mist, its form massive, fur matted with centuries of grief and rage. Its eyes burned, not with fire, but with loss. And Kamau saw the guardian in them, the man who'd loved Wanjiku, who'd broken his oath for her. The traitor's blood chooses. It snarled, claws gleaming. But the land will take its due. Kamau stood his ground, the artifact's light surging through him. I choose the land, he said, his voice steady. And them. He glanced at Kimi and Juma, their marks blazing. We're not traitors. We're here to fix what you broke. The hyena roared, lunging, but Kimi stepped forward, her mark glowing like a star. Not today, she said, her voice fierce. She raised the rock she'd carried since the cave, her strength unwavering despite her wounds. Juma swung his stick, his mark flaring, his grin defiant. Kamau clutched the dawn orb, its light merging with the others. Wanjiku, Njeri, Wairimu, Wacheke, Wambura, Wanjohi, Wangui, he shouted, naming them all. The Mugumo trembled, its roots blazing, and the daughter's song exploded, a melody that shook the mountain. The hyena screamed, its form fracturing, but it didn't stop. It lunged at Kamau, claws aimed at his heart. Kimi dove in front, shoving him aside, and the claws grazed her side, blood spilling as she fell. Kamau caught her, his scream raw, the artifact's light surging through them both. Kimi! Juma swung his stick, hitting the hyena's flank, and it recoiled, its eyes locked on Kamau. You cannot undo her choice. It hissed, but its voice was weaker, breaking. Kamau held Kimi, her mark pulsing against his, her blood warm on his hands. We're not undoing it, he said, his voice shaking, but fierce. We're making it right. He pressed the dawn orb to the Mugumo's roots, the artifact's light merging with the tree's glow. The daughter's song roared, and a figure appeared. Wanjiku, her eyes burning with love and grief. Guardian, she whispered, her voice in Kamau's heart. You choose, as I did, love and the land. She reached for the hyena, her touch soft, and its form shifted, the beast fading to reveal the guardian, a man, weary and broken, his eyes full of regret. I'm sorry, Kamau said, not to the hyena, but to the man it had been. We'll protect it now. The guardian's form dissolved, his laughter gone, replaced by a sigh of release. The Mugumo's light flared, then dimmed, its spirals fading. The artifacts went still, their glow soft but alive. The mountain was quiet, the curse broken. Kimi stirred in Kamau's arms, her breathing shallow but steady. Did we win? She whispered, her smile weak but real. Kamau nodded, his throat tight. Yeah, we won. Juma dropped to his knees, panting. Team Prophecy, baby. Told you we'd get that statue. He grinned, but his eyes were wet, his mark still glowing faintly. The dawn spread across Kiranyaga, its light warm and whole. The daughters' voices were silent, but their power lingered in the marks, in the land, in the three of them. Kamau held Kimi close, her hand in his, their marks pulsing as one. The curse is broken, and the guardian's grief is laid to rest. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma have woven the 9 daughters' power into Kiranyaga's heart, but their wounds run deep, and the land's healing is just beginning. The mountain stands, its roots alive with their choice, love and the land. What lies ahead for Team Prophecy, and will Nairobi's secrets stay silent? Chapter 17. The Roots of Tomorrow. The curse is broken, and the guardian's grief rests in Kirinyaga's heart. Kamau, Kimi, and Juma carry the marks of the 9 daughters, their blood and choices binding them to a healed land. But Nairobi hums with new secrets, and the mountain's dawn is only the beginning of their story. The morning light spilled over Mount Kenya's peak, soft and golden, warming the rocky clearing where Kamau, Kimi, and Juma sat, battered but alive. Kamau's arm and chest ached, the hyena's claw marks bandaged with strips of Kimi's hoodie. Kimi leaned against him, her shoulder wound wrapped tightly, her breathing steady but weak. Juma sprawled nearby, his injured leg propped on a rock, the carved box with the flame tablet and echo stone beside him. The heartstone, woven, cord, flute, veil, and dawn orb rested in Kamau's lap, their glow dim but warm, like embers of a fire that had burned through the night. The Mugumo tree stood silent, its spirals faint, its roots sinking deep into the mountain's heart. The daughters' voices, Wanjiku, Njeri, Wairimu, Wachaki, Wambura, Wanjohi, Wangui, were gone, but their marks still glowed on Kamau's palm, Kimi's wrist, and Juma's arm, a reminder of the prophecy they'd fulfilled. The air was lighter now. The mountain's weight lifted, but Kamau felt a new pull, a whisper of something unfinished. "We did it," Kimi said, her voice hoarse but fierce. She shifted, wincing, but her eyes held Kamau's, steady and warm. "No more hyena, no more curse. So why do I feel like we're not done?" Kamau nodded, the dawn orb pulsing faintly in his hand. "The land's healed, but it's watching us. The daughters, they left us these." He touched the artifacts, their warmth grounding him. "They're not just relics, they're a promise." Juma groaned, adjusting his leg. "A promise? Bruh, I just want a nap and some samosas. We saved the mountain, broke the curse, and got clawed to hell. Can't we just, chill?" His grin was shaky, but his mark glowed, and his eyes were sharp, scanning the clearing, like he expected the hyena to reform. Kamau smiled, faint but real. "You're still Team Prophecy, Juma. No chilling yet." He looked at Kimi, her hand still close to his, their marks pulsing in sync. "The daughters chose us. Wanjiku's love started this, but our choices ended it. The land's not done with us." Kimi's jaw tightened, but her lips twitched into a half smile. "Great. More ancestral quests. My dad's gonna love hearing his resorts on sacred land." She paused, her eyes softening. "But you're right. This feels bigger. Like we're supposed to keep going." The clearing was quiet, but the wind carried a faint hum. Not a chant, but a melody, soft and hopeful, like the land was singing again. Kamau stood, helping Kimi up, her hand lingering in his. Juma struggled to his feet, leaning on his stick, the box slung over his shoulder. "So, what's the plan, chosen one?" he asked. "We got magic rocks, a flute, a veil, and some serious scars. Where to now?" Kamau looked down at the artifacts, their light steady, then at the Mugumo, its roots alive with the mountain's pulse. "Back to Nairobi," he said. "The daughters were tied to the land, not just here but everywhere. The city's changing. Your dad's projects, Kimi. My dad's deals. We need to make sure they don't break it again." Kimi nodded, her eyes fierce. "My dad's not touching Kirinyaga anymore. I'll make sure of it." Her voice was steel. but her hand tightened in Kamau's. A silent promise. Juma grinned, limping forward. Yo, we're like land guardians now. That's dope. I'm making a new hashtag. #, Team Prophecy saves Nairobi. Gotta get my clout back. Kamau laughed, the sound surprising him. It felt good, like the dawn itself. Let's go home, he said, but we keep the artifacts close. The land's watching. As they started down the mountain, the path easier now, the wind carried the melody again, joined by a faint echo of Wanjiku's voice. The 9 are with you. The roots grow deep. Kamau felt it in his mark, in the artifacts, in the warmth of Kimi's hand and Juma's grin. The curse was broken, but their story wasn't over. Nairobi waited, its roots alive, its secrets stirring. The curse is gone, but the daughter's power lives in Kamau, Kimi, and Juma. Their marks a bond to the land they saved. Kirinyaga's dawn has lit the way, but Nairobi's future hums with new challenges. The artifacts are theirs, and the roots of tomorrow are theirs to guard. What will Team Prophecy face in a city that never sleeps, and will the land song guide them true?